Welcome, welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thank you all for being here. We've got I think it's going to be a powerful life tonight. I've been going through quite a few different things on my phone, and it's been bringing up some really interesting memories. Hey, Claire, how are you? Welcome, people. Let me know who is on today. Hey, Duppy Drop. Hey, Tracy. Welcome. Hey, Deborah of the Low family. Hello. Welcome, people. How's everyone getting on? It's definitely getting eventful out at the moment, which is, yeah, we're heading into a completely new phase now, which is interesting, and it's all a new experience for everyone. Hi, Anita, welcome. Happy Tuesday, people. So yeah, today, or the last few weeks has been really interesting for me. If you've watched my videos, I've started sharing my views now on the world and the shape as it exists. And I say shape, it's almost like the whole setup is a downward spiral, and there's always more land revealing itself as the sun rotates around us. So we were told globe Earth when we were born in this world, and globe Earth, if we use the idea that the water spins around us, and if you put Israel at the top, that kind of represents the levels. If you then follow the story, and whoever's been sharing information and whoever has been, I'm going to call it the gatekeepers of knowledge, they've always had the power, or they've stopped the truth getting through. Because if people found out the truth, which I'm starting to get a much better understanding of that word now, because it has too many meanings. So when people stop the truth getting out there, it keeps that certain knowledge for a group of people. The truth is God, and the truth is God's creation, which is everything. So the truth really sits within us. So everything that's been done is to stop us from finding ourselves. And those words don't really do it justice. It's to distract us, it's to confuse us, it's to keep us busy, it's to deceive us, it's to imprison us, because that's what it's come down to. It's a war. It's the dark versus light. The dark, if we go back then to the start of time, and when the land did reveal itself, it was the people that couldn't find God. They're watching others in the Holy Land going, how are they walking around with lions? And how are they getting all this knowledge and wisdom and experience? And that was the thing that was threatening. So I feel that there was a lot of darkness here already. It was like the survival of the fittest. And then it was, you start your own life. And over periods of time, as the land's revealed itself, people come and taken their, what they would call their own possessions, and they've done all they can. So if you can keep trying to imagine over time, the land's just gone down and down, and people initially try to get away from evil, and then they find new land, and you set up, you've got your tribes, your communities and stuff. And over time, these people come and try to take more power. So that's kind of the format and the idea that I've been circulating around in my life, because as soon as you start viewing your life from a 4D aspect, from levels, as soon as you start viewing it from the top looking down, you see every part of your story. So the words are in plain sight, the creations are in plain sight. Buildings are examples of us, we're the building. Mountain is us, we're the mountain. So if we can start viewing it from head down, bird's eye view, and then work your way back up to get your understanding, things start making sense. So that's kind of the premise of the last few weeks. And I've really been connecting so many more dots now within my life, my story. So I'll catch up with people first. Hi, Dimitri. Good to see you. Hi, Cherry. Life is amazing. I'm looking forward to the next chapter. Indeed, I feel that we're already in that page is flicked over now, and we're we're starting to write that new part of the story. Hi, Malcolm. Good to see you. Do you drink alcohol? I'll come on to that. I haven't drunk alcohol in about 5 years now. But you're going to see some drunken states of me today. So yeah, this is me putting myself out there today. It's a bit of my story. And oi Gwenny. Hi Jill. Hi Jen. Good to see you. The reason why I've done this today is to help connect the dots, because sometimes it's very easy for me to say all these concepts and very easy for me to say they're this and they're doing that and that's not right. When I can relate it all back to my life now, and I can show you where a lot of this, it is experience. But what I've seen now is dark versus light. If you remove all the labels in life and all the countries and different families and organizations and football teams, and if you remove all the division out of everything and you pull it right up, you strip it out, there's good and bad. That's it. If you look at it from the earth, like Israel at the top, imagine the earth is a Christmas tree. Israel, the star of David at the top, and then it gets bigger and bigger and more land as it goes down. That's the world. It's a tree of life. So if you view it from that perspective up at the top, Israel looking down, all of a sudden, every individual crime, every little side hustle, every little secret that people have together, it all gets exposed. All of it. I'm reading people's minds now because I realize it's all linked. So we've been played. I'm going to say I'm speaking from my perspective because some people have been part of this. A lot of people have been corrupted in this without realizing. All of us have been born into it. A big teaching for all this is the story, my story, your story, not someone else's story. However, we've been born into a system. We've been born into stories. We've had things passed down through generations and families, and we've just gone with it. That's all we knew. This is the first time where we've actually been able to see it all for what it is. But it was also at the very last point we had that opportunity to before someone had to step in, or it would have been just completely taken over and the world would have been, I can only imagine what it would be like if you see how much evil when it all links. If that was full control of everything, which they thought they had, it is just the battle of the egos then. Who can be the most evil? So again, all this from a status. Use the pyramid now, use the levels. So when we've got to America, America's the last level. America, Canada, Russia, China. If you look at the maps, it's at the top. They're the last levels to this. So with the world, if America falls, the world falls, we've been told. So the power is also at the bottom. And the highest point in America, if closest to the sun, is Arizona. So even from generations, these people in the darkness have known always they've been different wars and battles to get land and to take ownership. And then they realize that they can't create like God's creation. So they let people go and build all these structures and these amazing buildings. And then we seize power. Again, the royal family and the Commonwealth as an example. So keep using that and try to start putting it all together. When you start living in one space of land, and that is your life, and that's all you know. And I feel there's a film called The Village that kind of shows that. The people in that village actually lied and said there was nothing out to keep them contained. They didn't want, so they made it scary about leaving. The Truman Show, they did the same for him on there. So in the olden days, you wouldn't even have the means to walk through the desert, or you wouldn't have had vehicles or anything, and you wouldn't know where you're going. So explorers have done all that. But as the land's gone down and down and down, people settled. And then it gets to the United Kingdom. And you start seeing that the most intelligent and most powerful speaking countries always is English speaking countries. And you'll start seeing why that is from the very start, it's just an experience with no meaning. Use the pyramid now for your body. So it's just everything. You're just having an experience. Then you're now making sense of it. There's a yin and a yang. And now you're starting to put meaning to your personal experience, the human experience. So the Brits have already had all the generations passed down. all the languages passed down, and they're also seeing, here's the battles, there's the dark and the light, look, there's corruption, and it works the same way. It just advances every single time. You learn from your mistakes. So as criminals have got smarter, the good people have also had to create more and more problem, reaction, solution. So there's two games always going on. This part of the war now is I'm going to call them the Freemasons and the White Hats. They've been hiding in the shadows. They've been using time in terms of the direction of the sun, and also restraining from more land coming up, lying about the maps, controlling the oceans now, US Navy. They also control the internet space. They own the mainstream media. So information they're in control of, but they've allowed it to play out that the evil people still feel like they've got control everywhere they look. Right, there's a president, there's Obama. God, we've got Congress, we've got Senate. Oh, that person's just done a murder and no one's investigated it. It's like it's been done deliberately, and that's just been passed on through generations. If we then take the 80s, when they took down the mob in New York, they took down the mob, the FBI, a documentary called Fear City. And it shows you what went into play to just take down the big bosses of the mob families that controlled the whole of America back then. And it's only just started clicking into gear the last 2 weeks. Is, yeah, you take down the top bosses and you arrest maybe 100 people involved, but they looked after all America. So that would have been in every single city in every part of America. But knowing that America is the last one, that would have been in every city in every part of the world too. So if you go all the way up and you use different names that we hear of terrorist organizations, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, CCP, cartels, mafia, mob, deep state, there's a line for all of them. And it's almost like over time, they've had to get to the part where we can't just call ourselves something because they're going to know who we are. We can't just wear a uniform because they're going to see us coming. We can't just wear like hats and things like that because they now know. Then it goes to logos and symbols. And then it's to the point where they just hide in plain sight. I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I'm this, I'm that, I'm a football fan. Something deeper and darker, though, is even higher than that. It's dark versus light. So I'm going to try to put my life and show you how it's all connected. There's a whole network of people that will put people into your life for a reason. And I also want to show you how it's a lot easier to connect when you go through the whole of your journey, looking back, seeing, whoa, there's been crime everywhere. But crime doesn't necessarily know the other person doing crime somewhere else. They've just got their own thing going on. And the area that I was born into, it was done in families and schools. And my school seems to be the target because I've been looking at all the different kids and tactics and even the names of the schools. It was almost like they got to a point where they could put all uncorrupted people, because it is passed on through families, uncorrupted people all in a pot together. And this is where racism comes in. Having blacks at the very top, strongest and the fittest, if that was the way that the sun went, the very last land was right at the top, desert heat. And then you look at all the indigenous, the Aboriginal, they could handle God. Underneath that, you had the countries with the moon and the star. It's like the moon was chasing the star, the mind chasing soul. I'll come on to all the things, stoppy drop. Today is a bit of my story today. And then if you look then through history, there's always been someone trying to defeat God. So if you look at then the English-speaking countries, if you just got evil and corruption, how do you know who else is evil if most of us are? You bring in foreigners. And if you know they're black from the land, black from the body can't be converted. It's the mind that gets corrupted, and it goes down like this. So again, it's just a way of identifying it. This is the first time in our history where we've had technology now where we're learning about this. I've now realized that Hollywood is a good thing. And in fact, if you start watching the movies now, everything that we've ever been shown, it has to be directed. It has to be put together in a creation. It has put the music for us. It's showing us all the things that went on, how they did it. They're reporting to us in movie format, called a movie, and all we have to do is change the perspective. And all of a sudden you start seeing, wow, they've been showing us. And I like using Leonardo DiCaprio as an example. Leonardo's films, if you go through some of them, Catch Me If You Can, shows you crime, and it shows you that no matter what happens, you will get caught at some point. I'm going to keep going. And two main characters, Tom Hanks, Leonardo. Inception shows you that you can change someone's reality by getting into their thought process in their subconscious. We can do that. And it shows you the technology and the fighting and all the different advancements in the films. That's the good people showing, look what we've got, look what we can do. Look at the message we're showing. Blood Diamond. It shows you how bad all the trade diamond stuff is out in these countries. We wouldn't know about it unless you had the films. And if you go back throughout the times, they were showing us different conflicts, different periods. And all of a sudden, again, it links to your life now because all crime is the same crime, just labeled differently. And then we're at different generations now where you don't need to tell someone the whole story. You're born in, your family works with that family and that family, that family. We're always going to make an extra £100,000 a year. No one's going to know. It's just something we've always done. Obviously, they continue doing it. But that one crime has to have other people involved to it too. For something to work, it has to have connections. So all of a sudden, that then links to another crime, that links to another crime. And before you know it, people's reasons why you're doing things, it comes into someone else's story. And all of a sudden, you're now caught in a system, a parasite. And it then links all the way back to the evil of evil. That's where all this goes. Is such a connection. It's so deep. I've gone through a lot of my photos because I've been trying to put together like different people in my life that come in, and I'm like, some of my interactions and way that certain relationships ended, different things within my business where it's like, we're definitely going to get it, definitely. And then it would just be for no reason, people just pull out and stuff. Continued to happen to me all throughout my life, even getting to the point where I feel like the person I was doing my business with was part of this plan too. Because when I first come into London, and this is the beauty of it now, people, it just links people. So I'm now connecting people and I'm seeing, whoa, there is something going on with everyone. They don't know, maybe it's all to do with the devil and it's all to do defeating God, but they're all doing their own thing. But to have that, you have to sold your soul, or you must have been converted and you don't even know you're doing it. Like, again, the story, or you're just in the wrong crowd, but you would know at that point. So the gym that I got introduced to into London was when I started seeing London, every part of it. We had some big drug dealers in our gym, and now I know it was a whole drug operation, the whole thing, all the staff, everything, and it was just these gym people. So when I come in, a new guy come in too, and we click straight away. And I remember one of my mates goes, make sure you stay with him, he's going to be a millionaire, he's going to be a millionaire. We set up a gym a few months later, and then I realized all the introduction, I was asleep, full on asleep. So this is where I'm going with this today. You'll see my evolving. Yeah, you'll see how I've evolved throughout it. But my biggest thing, I was asleep to everything. I was oblivious to life. And I'll show you some of the reasons why I am now. And this will be good for mums and dads as well. We don't get shown any of this as kids. Nothing like this at all. We don't know. And also you see all the cool kids doing this, but some people, that's their role. Just corrupt them, keep them drunk, keep them going out, that's it. That's your role. And then we benefit from this. And then you'll start seeing there's been certain people in your life, they don't leave the area. All they do is the same thing now that they used to do. They haven't kind of gone up in the world, or but that's what they do. And you'll start seeing that it's a system. What we got? Hey, Carol. Do you drink coffee? Yes, I drink coffee. Lots of questions today. So let me see if I can connect it together, because this is my gym business, which has kind of evolved. And I've tried to select the photo so it is just me into it, but I just want to kind of show you how the different people that come into my life at different times, I feel it was just to get some sort of deal out of me. And I realized that our gym was making, for the last 4 years, our gym made 1.8 million turnover. Profit wise, though, like 100 grand. My salary weren't great at all, but we called the gym a lifestyle business. That's a lot of money, though. Like, and we were consistent. And I realized that every introduction was always through my partner, always from, and every person was always dodgy. I just thought they were just geezers in the city, but they were all linked as well. So I'm starting to fit. And then there were different awards that he used to go to and stuff. And I'm like, I never questioned after things in the end. We respected, we got on well with each other, we respected each other. But then there was a point where he couldn't stand me, I couldn't stand him. We had to look after our own separate gym each. And I look back now and I'm starting to think, well, it makes sense. If you just have a business with someone that is passionate about it, who is fast asleep on life, then we can just get every deal that we get is going back into the system. It's one thing. So if you think anything goes into the legal system, it's one thing. You get your accounts at the end of the year, that's your presentation. This is what we've done. This is what we spent our money in. There's the electricity, there's the insurance, there's the rent. London rent, a joke. We were spending about 10k a month in the Liverpool Street studio. And then you pay service charge, business rate. It's like they just literally suck you dry on everything. So all of a sudden you start seeing all the people that are involved with all these different companies, and then recruitment. And this is where it really hit me hard, and it shocked me a bit. But I had a period where I was training. It was just like all my clients seemed to be recruiters, and we used a few to try to get a manager to work for us. Always a nightmare, some of the staff that we employed. But I realized the recruiter's not just recruiting for roles, they're recruiting for other people to come and bump into you in your life. Dating apps, they use that to send prostitutes. But prostitutes are not, and this is the city, Wolf of Wall Street will back all this up. It's not prostitutes just come to the office. Prostitutes work for companies. And you wouldn't call them prostitutes, you wouldn't ever know. They go in to infiltrate. And the deal is you go on a date with whoever you want to, but and they get a choice. And you'll start seeing that it's kind of like this game. And I realized that even some of my clients, now looking back, it's obvious. Like they never explained their job very well. There was always going out on dates and different things. And like, God, they spend more time drinking and stuff. They're always on the social. I work in the city. The egos are massive. Yeah, it is. It's brilliant once you're aware, though, because you just see it's an act. Everything's an act. You got all different sales pitches, and on LinkedIn you get people just on a loop. Hi, I hope you don't mind me messaging you. Would you like 30 new clients? And like you'd have about 100 if you left it for a week of the same repeated message. So it's like, if you take out the nonsense of what corporate is, it's good people getting distracted, getting paid a good salary to just do stuff which is meaningless. Your energy is the current. So look at it from God. There's people at the very top that need to just suck your life out and you just work for them. It all feeds up to them. But we need to take creation out of it. You'll see the city. No one talks about God in the city. You have a lot of people, once they get burnout, that then we'll start going on a spiritual journey and stuff, but it's a trap. The whole thing's designed and set up like that. It's crazy when you think about it like that. So the other thing is, how do we corrupt more God's children? Well, God's children of the light is creation, anything creative. So they're always looking for the best idea, the best invention. But the gyms, anyone that works out in flow, anyone that plays sports, that is flow. That's God. So if you can't beat them, and I go all the way up to the top now, that's why you don't find many players in the professional level until recently, when the world's connected, from the Middle East in football. But you'll start seeing, as the gods people being used for sports, you've got the old films like Gladiators. We need them working to entertain us, and then also it's going to stop them from knowing the truth. It's really, really deep when you look at it like that, but not people wouldn't know that. They just got their role to do. So coming back to recruitment company, I had clients, but they were recruiting for me. And there was always like a triangle. And another thing that I realized as well is people would try to badmouth someone else. And it's very easy to gossip. That was the one thing I was very good at not doing. And going through some of these photos, I started seeing, well, they know each other. That's obvious. So it's helping connect everything though, because it's a soul journey. Everything that we're all going through here is for the soul. So if you are playing a bad character now, if you have done bad things in your life, if you're playing a good or you're playing an awakened character, at this moment right now, you now have a choice again. That was your role. And if you go outside of yourself, your role was the reason why we are here. Without you doing what you did, how would anyone else know? Like, it's just part of the story, but it's finding God, accepting God, which is accepting yourself, not continuing someone else's story, not continuing to do things for other people if you know it's wrong, not being able to find solutions for yourself when you are feeling stuck and trapped, because you've all had a part to play. So once you start looking at everything has meaning, as soon as one thing clicks, it all clicks. And it's like every day now, it's click, click, click. It's like, oh, I'm sitting in the cafe sometimes just in a daze, just kind of gobsmacked and giggling to myself in some things. I was so oblivious to most things. So I'll show you a few things today will make you laugh. And you're going to go, how? And I had comments like that. I don't know how you lasted 12 years with your business. I don't know how you lasted 12 years. A lot of people said that. The landlords, and even there's people in the city now, again, because I've been through it all, I'm talking out loud to myself, but this is all real time. There's people now, I realize, they're like the big mafia bosses in London. I met a lot of these people. In fact, I met quite a lot of them quite early on. Some of my clients were the top CEOs of some of the biggest law firms. They just watch you. If you're God's children, there's very little of God's children in the city of London if it's controlled by children of the darkness. If we want to go back to those labels. So you've got a lot of people in one space. So I use London, the city of London, 400,000 people in that square mile. So all you need to do is make sure that you've got big people organizing it. And a lot of my clients they're very common, like just normal people. And I met nice people. And again, one thing that popped up to me today, I remember training one of these clients very high up, didn't care, like, but really cool. And I then trained someone else a few days later, and they said, she is a vile woman. She is, I hate her. I'm like, what? Her? I hate her. And she worked for her. So I got to see a different side of people too. So it was almost like I'm not going in their world. They come into mine. And what they do is try to work out, how can we corrupt you? And I'm going to give you some examples of stories that were shared where people get corrupted. The city of London, what is it? Alcohol, drugs, late nights. What happens then? You get taken out from clients, which is their job. And I realize how certain people are so successful now. They take you to strip clubs. They take you to the nicest restaurants. They take you to brothels and things like that. That's all in the city. I was oblivious to all of this completely. Didn't have a clue that any of this went on. And I'll show how it kind of evolved from stupid Harry, just a complete drunken idiot when I went out with my mates. Don't remember some of my night. I was out every night of the week when I was about 18. Used to go out with about £2 in my pocket. It'd be either me or my mate that drive. And we'd go out every night of the week. I think we did 14 days in a row once. I was driving to Kent, we'd go to Sutton, we go to Watford, we go to Windsor. And it was just and I think I used to do gym work as well. So I had a few shifts, but it was all the time. And you get home late. My mind weren't anywhere paying attention to life at all. So when I come into London, they must have think, look at this little innocent one, and the gym that I went into as well. And I realized people can talk to you, and the reason why people have power over you is nothing else apart from awareness. People go into conversations with an intention already set. So if they know something and they have more knowledge about it, especially if it's more knowledge on you, they're just watching you. So I realized all this time as well, when I'm with people, I do give them my attention. I go back and try to think some of my conversations still away with the fairies, but I'm me. So I realized as well, there's certain people that everything seems to go wrong for them all the time. You'll hear people say that, oh, everything goes wrong for me. Maybe because every person you meet, there's a different side of you being shown. You're acting. And those people actually then communicate with each other. We turn up like they said it, and yet they catch you lying. So the more you lie, the more it gives them sod it. They see people's true characters because we only see one person we're talking to. There's a whole world of people that know about you, and they do all they can to corrupt you. Blackmail is a big one. And I'll give you a story again today with some clients. I met all sorts of people. And that's why I said I love my job. I met all sorts of people. But that's knowledge and awareness. If we use the countries again and the Brits, would go like Game of Thrones. They'd go to all the different things. You're learning from everyone. That's why traveling is so cool. And then it makes sense again, all the islands in the Greek islands and the Spanish islands, knowing that the Brits are going to go over there, knowing that certain people, their job is just to get them corrupted, absolutely obliterated because no one tells you how to drink or anything. Because like your mum and dad don't want you drinking. I didn't have any older brothers, so I didn't get that. I remember I got introduced to a bucket and I woke up the next day, didn't have a clue. 2 weeks in Zante with my mate, don't remember it. There's one time when I fell asleep standing up. My mate, like some of the things that I did, flashbacks, little flashes, scary. So feel free to join in today and see if you can start thinking about your life in different aspects too. So I'm going to go through. So this is kind of a 2005, this photo. So this would be like 2007 to 2020. I've kind of got the photos on there, and you'll see there's a lot of gym related stuff. So remember where I come from. I'm a personal trainer. I then went into London. I set up 2 gyms in London. So there's a lot of fitness stuff. I got my top off in a lot of photos, but just to show you like even how that changes, I didn't know. And I'm looking at some of my photos thinking, oh, whoa, like really powerful stuff. And so where I'm going with this is your life. For me, I'm finding 3 different points here. I call it fun, but it was me getting just wrecked. It was work, and it was what I was passionate about. So you'll see the spiral. I work hard, I work on myself, and then I get absolutely wrecked. And it's work, and you'll see it's a cool, almost like a spiral of that. But what's it doing? It's giving me experience of all of life. And I know now people can go back and look at all the things that you go, how did I do that? That's disgusting. I'm ashamed of it. No, that's life. Because of that now, you now make choices knowing that you're never going to get yourself into that situation again. You get to your positions in your life where you say no. Why do you say no so confidently now? Because you know what happens if you didn't. So all these things, take the positives from it. All of them. Just put it into your own story. The hardest thing is we don't like to do it all. And these photos have been interesting. There's been gaps on the phone, so I've missed some points on it. But this was college. So this was at college and we went to Paris. I got dungarees on there. And college was a really good period for me. I was part of the sports team, the football team, and I was the young one then. They called me Sweet Boy. I used to wear Tims as well. And I got in the football team, and all these lads were 18, 19. I just turned 16, so just left school, went college. And I got in the football team, and I impressed quite a lot with the lads. So I was one of the boys. We all had our uniform, Puma tracksuit, as our teacher there. And then we had a lot of different people come over from other countries as well. So we had, it was a really cool period. But I remember going to France on this trip, and I remember dating a girl from college. And again, this I feel like was set up because I know the girl. There's going to be loads of moments like this as well. There's a school which I now know, even the name, it's called Bishop's Holt, and it's Holt and the Bishops. And these were top schools, and you had to apply to get into them. I didn't get into it. If you look at the people that come out of them, and I see what it's like their role. So one girl I was dating, and then I found myself kissing someone else, and I remember the feeling when I got caught, and it was going to get back to her, and it was a horrible feeling, like gut wrenching. I got excited at the time. Again, naive. That's the sort of thing in life that happens to you. Again, learning mistakes. I'm going to go and say that there's a lot of things just in school, but that's all they're told to do, is to create conflict. Because if you live your life with some sort of secret, that's fear. So holding on to anything that no one else knows about, but someone else does, even if it was a long time ago, that still limits that full connection with God. And this is why meditation is so good, because it'll get you above that high straight away. It'll get you through that maze block, that mind block. It's there somewhere, people. It's a secret. So if it happened a long time ago, own your story somehow. And I mean that by go and find it first. What did you learn? And if it ever did come around now, what did I get out? Like, is finding your ways, because surprises that come into your life are the one when you're not prepared and you've been caught out. I don't have that in my life anymore. And I've been going back through these just to see if there's things I've missed. And there has been things. It's been a learning thing. But I've put out a lot of my stuff online as well, but to me. And I always go back now. What did I learn? And certain things I come back again. So always know that you will be able to find solutions for everything you've done. So this was my first gym job, and I was a skinny little guy, but I'm bench practicing my manager. But this is the quality of the phones back then. Look, I thought I was Mr. Strong. I thought I was Mr. Jim. And then my friend invited me up to London. It's just cringy as well. This is in a gym. And just to show you, like, I was a drunken, little cheeky, never got in fights, never got in. My mates always did. One guy used to just knock people out, left hand or right hand. There'd always be a fight, and he'd like, oh, they always start on me. And I never seemed to get into fights. I'd be in the toilet when they happened. But I feel now that was all God protecting. Like, there's certain times where you should have been there. And it was almost like that was the reason why. So this was at a horse race and one of my best mates. But these are the stupid things. We did fancy dress quite a lot. Even that, fancy dress now. Imagine aliens coming down going, what are they doing? But I'd be like, guys, Netballers, Borat, in Kavos, I've walked down the street like that. She's just stupid. Things like this. Just a drunken idiot. And this was the first job that I got. So this was 2007. Look at me there. And I just qualified as a PT. And I thought I was really good. I didn't have a clue about anything in life. My first advice was, how do I become the best personal trainer? That was my question. And my manager said, go to London. That was his answer. And that stayed with me. So I was here for about a year. And I was an apprentice wage. I was fully qualified, but I was on £6,000 for the year. I was going out every night of the week. That's why I spent like £2 each night. You get a lollipop from the toilet and just walk around the club. Just stupid things. And I'd come back to this all the time. So this was kind of like my learning. I'd go Butlins and I'd do stupid things like this, I'd get in a fight. with my mates this one, and I didn't want to hit him, so I punched the picture frame. I got blamed. Again, these are things as well. I got blamed for throwing a toilet brush in my best friend's face when they were fighting, and he turned around and he hit me. And my eye just went up, and I'm like, "You've ruined my night." And I didn't want to hit him, and I punched it. I was so drunk. I was like, "I'll be all right." It was blood everywhere. I nearly lost my finger, and I was in hospital for 2 days. And the lady said, if that was any higher, you'd have lost that middle finger. So little things like that. I remember Mum called me having a good time. She always used to worry about me because I'd always get home stupid o'clock. My mum was a worry about that, and she still is now. She's much better. But yeah, having a great time. I'm stuck in the bed with this. Again, not realizing or even knowing what any of these sort of things mean. I'll be all right. I'll be out tomorrow. Things like this. I'd go out and my trousers would rip. So this is the drunken me all the time. Fancy dress again. Now coming to London for wigs and glasses part, just things you do. And again, I think this is a part of growing up. I never went to university, so I never had any of that sort of stuff as well. But I was always out enjoying it with my mates. And these are the things that I do encourage with people. If I just had a bit more awareness of setting an intention before I go out, pay attention. If I was aware of my words, oh, I don't remember when I drink. I always forget everything when I drink. That is what I tell myself. If I had a different intention each time now, it would have been so much different because you regret some of the. I loved all the times that I went out, but I remembered those ones. It's the ones where you wake up and you're like, what have I done? I had that all the time, people. I had and I knew I'd done something wrong, or I knew I'd pissed someone, but cheeky. And when people used to tell me what I'd do, I'm like, yeah, it was kind of embarrassing, really. So let me show you this one. So at this time, this is 2009. I was working in London Bridge Fitness First. And the reason why I'm telling this story, because you'll start seeing the sort of people that all start linking together and all the different businesses that they all do. Now it all links to one thing. So I was working in London Bridge, a Fitness First. I was a brand new trainer in the city. My friend who was the sales guy said, come and work at this gym. I'll look after you. And I realized later on what this gym was about. But that was kind of my starting point. Met a business partner, and a year later, set up Number One Fitness, which was my first gym in Tower Bridge. And even then, I remember showing my mum and dad, this is my gym. Didn't have a clue what that actually meant. I just get in the gym. Yeah. I was a yes man. It sounds cool. Didn't realize that was going to be my life. That was going to be business. My mum asked me how much the rent was, and she nearly had a heart attack. What have you done? Because I didn't, again, no awareness to anything. We had a marketing lady we sat with. It sounded good. We made these different projections. Is embarrassing reading back a few years later. It was like going to make 30 grand a month and stuff. None of it made sense. And the landlord actually bet with the maintenance team that we wouldn't last 6 months. And if you're a landlord, like, why would you risk even that unless you know that you're going to make good money from it? And if you can cover your losses, if there is any, and especially on the intro build and stuff as well, like, you take that risk knowing that everything's going to be okay if there's a system to it. So this one, I had a client that come with me. She just turned 30. My life does start improving, and yeah, I want to see the chat as well, my phone. I get invited really early on, so just opened my new gym. So I'm a business owner now, training clients in London. She invites me to her 30th birthday, and this woman was rich. She rented out the whole restaurant in Borough High Street, in Borough Market. In fact, it was a really famous restaurant. She rented the whole thing out for her 30th. Her husband paid for it all, and it was glitz and glamour. She invited me and 2 people. This is, by the end of the night, what I'm doing. Full on handstand, top undone off. This is in the middle of London, and I'm doing some sort, this is cringy, even look at it. I got put forward to do a dance off, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Cringy. That's what my clients first. So that's the unlevel awareness. There's no way I'd be doing that now. No way, unless it was a handstand competition or something. No way. Didn't even think about consequences. Someone said after that you said something to one of the women there, and I don't know. I don't remember. Don't remember. But when that photo was sent, you can imagine. So this is my intro into London. So can you imagine if you are a criminal and you know that this person's tied down on a lease for at least 8 years? We're going to milk this person. And I feel like it's some of the people that come in, they get to know you, but also people, if you are a good person, the way to get more out of you is to upskill you. So you learn along the way too, but it means you can get screwed over even more if you're not aware of it. If you went into London knowing that everyone is out to screw you, that was your starting point, your awareness would be so much better. Although you might struggle to trust people if you don't trust yourself, but you would spot things. And someone mentioned about Essex now. It's for Essex. I'm going to come on to Essex. There's a reason why I said that. There's not a stereotype to it. It's a personal experience. You're going to see the people that come into this soon on the story. The city's full of ego. So you can imagine like all the different levels of ego. You're going to look at that and think, clown, absolute clown. So just to show you, I'd go traveling on my own as well, even back then. And the reason why as well, health, I always look at health, your body. The fitness industry was very quick to do this body positivity nonsense to say, oh, you shouldn't care about your body, or you shouldn't worry about how you look. It's about how you feel, which is fine. But if you look a certain way, you can tell if someone's healthy or not. So on this time, I wasn't healthy at this point, and I feel it's because my mind was scattered all over the place. Let me see if I can. Then I would do things. So, and this is the reason why I'm showing these different photo shoots, just to show you my transformations all the way through as well. I had no clue back then about, I thought I knew about fitness, but I didn't know some of the things that could be done, especially when it comes to your body. So this is, I was told, do a photo shoot. You can use the photos. It'd be good for the website and stuff as well. So we said we're going to do one. I did 6 weeks on this photo shoot, which was just rice and fish. Fish and greens, we called it. Rice, fish and greens. I didn't have a clue. So I was eating all this all the time. And I remember playing football in the shower eating mackerel. It was horrid, but I thought, oh, I looked all right. I got some good results from that one. I want to be able to show you and come down each time. So I'm going to be skipping through. Most of this is in order, by the way. I've kind of pulled out different points because there were turning points. But this will lead us back so I can connect it after. Let me just get my YouTube up on my phone so I can see the chat. All right, so 2 secs, people. I just want to be able to see as you go along. Here we go. Which one is you on that photo? Oh, on this one, I'm guessing here on the right. Middle one. Self-reflection on our life experience is key to our journey. True, authentic self-reflection leads to divine discernment or true frequency. Thank you, Andy. Yeah, lovely words. Drinking Aussie beer, yeah. The picture hasn't changed. Oh. You see it now? Okay. So in 2013, at this point, I had one gym in London and Tower Bridge. And I remember got introduced to, and again, how people link. My business partner's friend that was from down south happened to move into London, got a job with a business coach. And this business coach come in and we both said, he's not going to know He's not going to know what fitness is. He's not going to be able to help us. And his fee was £2,000 a month. We weren't making great money, but I remember the first 3 months, it clicked. It's like, whoa, coaching's so powerful. And what it gave me was, it gave me a voice. Because I realized I never had a say in anything. I was just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And when it comes to gym, you put your equipment away. If there was a moment where I forgot to put mine away, I got shouted at. But yeah, I'd always see other people leave it out all the time. I didn't say anything. I just put it back myself. So it is, I'm getting used to this part now. But again, I'm learning, so I'm going along the way. There was a part to me where my teeth were bent after school. I had braces as a kid, and then over time, my teeth at the front two started crossing over. Really used to be like this all the time. Always would cover my mouth, never really smiled or anything. And I used to get really self-conscious when I was in London, and just opened the second studio. So the business coach helped us, and I think this is all part of the plan as well, helped us to open a second gym in Liverpool Street. So this is 3 years apart from each other, and we opened the second one. At that time, I was getting a jaw operation. So I had braces on again, and then had a jaw operation. But just to show you, even throughout this, my face blew up, and I had all sorts of different things back then. It was just a recovery. At this time, let me just explain another thing as well. Just to start leading it up. I'm late to the show today. Glad to find that live show. Your work is very fresh, and thank you so much, Polly Collie. So during that time, I had a few different clients, and we had some big people come into our gym. So they were like top directors of these law firms and CEOs of big companies and stuff. Cool people, got on with them well. And then we had this guy come into our gym, and I'm trying to connect it up. He was like one of the richest guys that I met. He used to drive his Ferrari 5 minutes away into the gym. It's almost like, let me show you what I got. And he would pay for his wife. His wife would train with me. He'd train with my business partner. He was loud. He was a geezer. And he was always off his face, always looked hungover, always drunk. And then she's always complaining about him. But again, I feel like that's done by design, to see if you badmouth or share any of the stuff that she said, or knowing what he's doing when he goes out, bit of reputation. Are you going to say anything? So all these different things. I just listened. I never really said anything. I used to talk with Ben every now and then. I won't say any more names today. That's my plan, was not to say names. So I'll try to keep that one from there, because this is my story. It's no one else's. It's the people that come in and how I've connected it all. I can't confirm a lot of this. I just know with what's going on right now in the world, and with all the insights that have been coming to me, especially over the last few years, now I'm more than ever, because I'm living the stories in my dreams. I'm going around and I'm seeing different things that have taken place in my life now. So this guy was filthy rich. We also had, like, really early on, we had this guy, we had two guys come over from the boxing gym. And then we also had this, and it's funny actually, all these people all awake. They're all the ones that were in 2020 all posting. Like, none of them used to do conspiracy before, and all these people. And this is why I think it's all part of it. One guy was a swinger, and he used to turn up at my football matches. Like, this is weird. Him and his wife used to come to my football matches, and I'd be like, he's from my gym. And my mates were like, what? And I said, yeah, he's a swinger and stuff. It was weird, but nice guy. And then there was the boxers that come in as well. And so and he was one of them was so loyal, stay with us all 12 years. He was with us, but I feel that he was there for a reason as well. They have people as handlers on you, but they also have people there to look after you. That's your job. Just look after them and we'll look after you. So I get invited, and I didn't do drugs at the time. I just drunk like a lunatic, don't remember. I get invited with the boxer and with someone else to a stag do in Marbella with this guy. It's his wedding coming up. So I went to this. This is how, like, naive. we get in this fancy place in Marbella, and they're all just waiting around the. I go and bomb in the pool. We're not even in that place. So I've got out and we've got to get in the cabs, dripping wet. And they're like, I didn't see anyone do drugs that whole weekend. And on the last day, one of the bar people come, oh, you forgot to pay the table last night to someone, the person organising it. I said, how much is it? £28,000. One night on the table in one club, £28,000. So these people were doing drugs all the time. I didn't even know. For 3 days solid drinking, but I didn't even know. I was mostly in bed by 12 o'clock. So reason why I explain this one now, because I remember one story that was shared on it. There was a lot of rugby players and that were on this stag do as well. And one person shared, they went to a strip club on one of the last stag do's. And again, this is where I see sometimes they put suggestion in your head. I didn't do strip clubs either. I think I went to it once in my whole life before this stag do, and I ended up having a conversation with them. It just weren't like the thing that I did. And again, I'm grateful for a lot now for my dad actually and my upbringing, because he's been a hero now looking back. Like, and that's another thing, people. That's another thing, is people in your life, when you had the experience, may not have been nice, or it may not have been the right thing, but looking back, certain things now, I'm like, it's hit me. And it's the things they don't do. It's the things where that is just who they are, just good. So my dad's, like, for a lot of things, I've been blessed on that. Looking back on this as well. So yeah, hopefully he'll see this as well. So I didn't have a clue. So this whole stag, and the guy said, oh, this guy, they all went back to a hot tub and they had loads of women there and loads of drugs and stuff. And then his credit card bill was 35k. And he put it all on his family credit card. So I remember just gobsmacked. I was like, 35k, what have you been doing there? And he said, don't worry, I looked after him. I gave him a loan for 10 years and he's paying it back to me monthly. That's a trap. That's corruption. Because if you don't do what we say now, this will get back to your wife. That's a trap. So that's what I mean by blackmail. It takes one thing. So those things happen. And I now think, well, again, blessed how that did happen. Because when I started doing cocaine, you go back after the club and you chat absolute nonsense for ages. Well, if they've got these women there, and like at the wedding, like a month later, we had a nightclub with a table that had a swimming pool in the table. The table opened up into a pool. Like, I've never seen anything like. But if I knew about that, then I would have obviously been with the lads. Like, so I got away massively, that one. That only just hit me the other day. It was like, well, these things must happen all the time. These people, they make that, it's a breakfast for them. They do that one deal, they make that money. But a lot of people don't get anywhere close to that. So if you're now obligated to pay something based on your actions that you can't remember, or your whole life gets ruined after. So there's a really, really good film called Derailed, and I really encourage people, go and watch that film. Clive Owen, Jennifer Anderson. As soon as you watch that film, you're going to start seeing everything I'm saying tonight will have a lot more things to connect with. It happens everywhere, people. It's a system. It's dark versus light. Think of it just from that aspect. So within that period, it was a month, I then started doing drugs. And I remember how that happened. I went to a festival and there was a group of lads. And my mates, they loved like grime. Look. I didn't. I didn't like house music either. So I'm like, why have I come here? My mate said, come with me. And my mate just put MDMA in my mouth. And what have you done? I put drugs in your mouth. And I remember livid. But after that, I just realized, oh my God, everyone's on it. Everyone's having a good time. It was the best night of my life. I was chatting to my mate the whole time. He said, listen to the music, like, just pay attention. And it made me realize there was so much more that I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. And then you could start seeing it all. So in the city, and I'm saying this, people, if you've been in the city, you know what I'm talking about. This is constant. This is just, everyone knows it goes on. Like, it's in your face. But if you're not aware of it, it's invisible. It's completely, you don't see it at all. And I ask people, how many things in your life where you were, I don't, regardless if it's drugs or anything else, but something that you was completely oblivious to. And then when you realize, it's like, whoa, it's everywhere. And as soon as you've got awareness for it, it changes everything. Like, all your decisions change going forward, your experience changes, your memory changes. That's you now knowing yourself. So these are the different things you grab, you catch it. That's the way that we do it all, is go back, try to bring the whole moment to it. I've never drunk and never ever taken any drugs. I love that, Susan. And I give, what did I say? It all depends on people's journey, I guess, but to go through life to say that I haven't, amazing. And I'm going to flip it. The people that have done drugs have now a level of darkness and awareness and things to look out for. Because if we haven't done it, we don't know what to look for. And again, if it lurks everywhere, people are always out to deceive you in some shape or way, but also the low points on drugs, also the come downs, the way that you feel about yourself, that it eats away at you sometimes. You do get lonely and depressed and all these. So none of that encouraged to have in life, but it's those moments as well where, for me, I can put to why I've excelled in my own journey. So it all depends on the journey as well. But yeah, I got a lot of credit for people that have gone through life. And did you have awareness, Susan, what drugs were? Or was it just stayed away from it? Because if I knew the city and I saw it all, I know for a fact my choices have been completely different before. Hi, Harry and lovely souls, listening from cloudy New Zealand. Hi, Carla. Never been drunk. I've had the occasional glass of wine as well. Love that. And again, these are all, I encourage people. Everyone's got their own story on this one. For everything that you've done, you'll be able to get your own teaching and understanding from it as well. And that's what I really encourage. And the next thing is that it's these stories, it's these shares. I now get a different perspective. What was life like without drugs? Was you aware? And you can ask the questions. And then these stories then share other people. There's certain things that are said that resonate. There's certain things that, okay, it's not just me then. Okay, I was called the boring one, but there's loads of us. And that's what I learned when I stopped drinking. There was loads of people that didn't drink. And some of the most successful people I met from not drinking, their whole life changed. So duality, people. It's a key thing here. Everything we look at, there is always an opposite. Always. You just got to go and find it. So I really encourage, find the duality first of all. Your life, there's always an opposite to it. If you're looking for information and you've got someone says science says this and research says that, flip it, and research will also tell you this, and science will also tell you that as well. I've had a couple of experiences and it scared me not to not do it again. I have a couple of experiences and it scared me enough to not do it again. Okay, love that, Jen. No, never been aware of drugs, aware really, just not been in my life. See, I love that. So with this now, I'm hoping there might be certain people you're going to go, oh, it's interesting. Because I remember telling my mum, I was like, your big bosses, they mostly do cocaine. No. I'm like, you work in a huge company. It is a big thing in meetings and stuff. The movie called They Live is a good example of the City of London. Brilliant. Thank you, Ben, Jimmy. And this is why I love now films. The human experience is to have every experience, every emotion. There's like a blueprint in our body. I call it a sound system, a soundboard, and everything that we do will leave its mark somewhere. So as a coach now, I know that some of these experiences I will never have. Well, I can't say never, but by my choices, I can never put myself in these situations. That's where I feel. However, listening and being in that energy space and hearing someone tell their story through their truth, I'm now sharing that experience. I was here in the experience they shared, what they're reliving. So this is the key thing about life as well, is to embrace someone else's story. And if you haven't had any of the experience at all, ask your own questions. That is a real key thing, because you'll learn so much more about yourself. And that pat on the back, that confirmation, that reassurance, that, oh, okay, like it's those things. You have to ask your own questions, though. I was heavy into drink and party drugs back in the day. I quit drinking last December, and the only drugs I do now are psychedelics now. Love that, Claire. And again, I don't even call them drugs. And I'm going to give you my example on this as well. The old me is someone I don't recognize now. So grateful for it now. Without the old you, Claire, would you be you now? Yes, I was at a work function and now realize what everyone was doing now. Yeah, I used to see men come out the toilet, 3 of them. I think there was a lot of gay people in London. All my first clients were gay. It was like I had no gaydar, which they called it. I had the most, what would I say, flamboyant gay client. And my dad even recognized him walking down the street. It was just, and he goes, oh, me and my partner. I love now. I'm like, oh, what's her name? Just didn't have a clue about anything. Used to go pubs and just drink Malvern Hills water. Loved that. Yeah, was that right, folks? No, absolutely not. Yeah, it's key, right, Claire? And how many teachings and learnings? Potent, Harry. Great explanation. Lost track of what I just said there. I completely lost track on there. So anyway, we go back to the wedding, and you got to think of all the people I'm meeting now as well. I'm meeting rich geezers, like proper wealthy guys, and they're the bottle. There was a bottle of wine on breakfast we had one day. It was so big that the waiter had to put it on his shoulder and pour it in like that. And in Nicky B, again, this is the world that I was seeing there. There's people buying, this rich guy bought loads of champagne in another party, spraying it. Like the bottles are about 15 grand each, just spraying it away. That, people, just shows you how ludicrous all this is. You can just, and that's it. Drunk when young, never done any type of drugs. Stubbed that cherry. Thank you for sharing. My partner is even my partner is even my naive. My ex-husband too, never drunk, never smoked or drugs, not even aware of corruption. But Susan, that's your energy that you put out, which is amazing. You haven't, and this is what I've learned now. You haven't attracted any of it into your life. So the only reason these things come into people's life is when you get introduced to it. So from a young age, it feels like that you've trusted in your intuition. Because the thing is, people, God will push you in different ways, but at the time, if you're present, you get that choice with God, co-create. So we normally find ourselves in situations where we weren't paying any attention. We just somehow ended up there. Had no idea about drugs. Yeah, I had none. 26 years old, I didn't touch a thing. It must have been, it was okay, maybe a bit longer. 2012, because it was the Olympics. So I had my jaw operation. Yeah, my jaw operation, then the wedding was a bit later on. So there's a month gap. Then I had MDMA, had the best time of my life. But that wasn't the drug that these people do, it's cocaine. So at the wedding, they rented out a massive place in the mountains. They had their own drug dealer there. And all of a sudden, I'm now doing cocaine with a lot of people, rugby players that played for England, like all sorts of people. Nose was bleeding when I got back to the room. But it was almost like a blessing that I got out from that stag do and didn't know. And then I did know. And then I went on a number of years where it was work, party, and self-development, I'm going to call it. What are your thoughts on the Bible saying, drink your wine with a merry heart? But what wine, all it does is your body wines. So your wine, your water, your urine, your urine. There's a golden drink that we have, which has been hidden from us, which is urine therapy. So that's the only thing that I would say. But the Bible wasn't written. It wasn't written before the experience. The experience comes first. Our interpretations of words, that's been translated many times. So if we go back to Arabic and look at the word alcohol, it's removing bodily spirits. There's no good in alcohol. You can justify it all your life. There is no good in it. I was heavily into dance, drug scene, but drink very little now. We only touch mushrooms and weed nowadays. Grateful for my experiences, but very different now. Thank you for sharing them. The dance and drug scene, I used to love going to festivals and raving and stuff. And I tell you what I feel a big part of this is, and even more, ecstasy, LSD, mushrooms, ket, all these different experiences that people have, that's God. But it's so like God, so that you can't put it into mind. You know, when they say you lose your head, yeah, you go out of this world. Your body can't handle it. It's such a jump. So they call them drugs and they demonize them and they make money out of you for all these different ones. But that is experience of God. And if you do psychedelics, you'll see it completely disrupts reality to the point where there's no meaning to it. So these are, when you get more into away from labels and away from the human experience and you're coming into energy, everything's possible. So then you've got the evil drugs, which is cocaine and the heroin. But things like you're seeing all therapies now around the world will use MDMA. If it's done with specialists, you're seeing people do it with ketamine. You'll see it, and it works amazing for trauma. So the science is there. Just remember the world that we're coming out of, though. Just knowing that this is all cleaned up. We know how the body works. What it's also doing is allowing you to get out your mind, because it's your mind that's trapping trauma that's inside your body. Your mind said, no, I'm not going there again. I've dug that somewhere and I'm not getting it out. It'll come out someday. So these help you, and mushrooms is a great way to do that, to release certain energies, and you have to deal with that process. So alcohol is the devil's piss. Yeah, I'm gonna give you that one. Cocaine is co-creating with Cain. And again, these people get you on this stuff because when you're on cocaine, people, you talk for hours, you don't eat. And I realized that why people in the city, their life is mundane, it is meaningless, it is lifeless. We're slaves. And the real connection you have with certain people in the office, like you have if you watch The Office, you have a little flirt, you have a little giggle, and then it's back to work again. So when you get the opportunity to go out, you want to be able to share everything. Cocaine just opens up like no filter for something, and they just open up to you. So people get you on it waiting for you to speak. And I can imagine the higher up you go, the more valuable you are to get corrupted. I was quite fortunate enough. I was in the fitness industry and I had my own gym. So I didn't, you'll see that there's a lot of the photos that I'll show today is going to be, it will show that I did it quite a lot at weekends. Did I have a problem? I used to say no. But I obviously didn't have I had a problem with not being able to pay any attention to what I was doing to my body or anything. I was one that would try anything. There was a few things in my life I said, never go there. Like any homosexual stuff, never go there, wouldn't do that. But drugs, from a kid saying no, 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 and that first experience I had with MDMA, I was open to trying most things. Wouldn't touch crack, heroin, that sort of stuff, not at all. And like violence and stuff wasn't for me. So I've done most stuff, and you're going to see not just naughty stuff, like everything. I've always been yes, because I wasn't aware. There's a lot of things now. There's no way I would have done it if I'd have known. Nearly all my friends smoke weed, take stuff, or drink a lot. The only sort of people I go on with as they are free and honest. Awesome. Thank you, Susan. Well, weed's going to be one soon, because people say, oh, I don't do drugs, but weed isn't a drug. They call it a weed too. It's a plant. And it's as pure as it can get. The reason why that's being banned, people, because it connects you to God. Weed manifests with intention. So marijuana, when it first come out, it was a psyop campaign to get people saying that you'll go all crazy and schizo. So younger kids doing it, they go in with the intention they're being bad and they're being all paranoid in case they get caught. They take that paranoia into the experience. Cannabis will be everywhere in the new world. Hemp will be everywhere in the new world. I've seen, and I know why it's been held back, because I've worked with cannabis oil. I've seen people's lives change, people die in different person, dogs about to be put down, jumping around different dogs. I saw all sorts of stuff. Then I went deeper and saw it's in our body, the cannabinoids, endocannabinoid system, identical. So it's a plant from God. The only thing that makes cannabis illegal, and remember, it's the legal system crashing down. So this is where I do challenge the people. When you're told that, oh, there's no legal system anymore, now it's a plant again. And they're also shown that all the benefits for it, because we've always been told the other stuff. The only thing that makes it illegal is, imagine that you're growing, imagine an orange tree, actually. The orange tree's hanging off, so it's all grown. So that's now the cannabis bud, and I pull it off. You can legally grow 3 plants in the UK. As soon as you pull it off, that's now illegal. So it's like eating an orange, but saying this is illegal now. It comes from the universe. It hasn't been processed or anything. So when people say, I don't do drugs, I don't do this, and judging on cannabis, can't do it. Even if we go back, and this is one of the things that I did do, go back up the spiral, they all smoke cannabis. It was a plant guided earth, Mother Earth. We get our insights from there. So I'm not promoting or judging on anything. I'm just sharing my experience. But cannabis is one where my mum, I'd never do drugs, never be up my head. No. So when people say, what is the last drug you said? I've never heard of that one before. The endocannabinoid system is just a system we have in our body. What else did I say? Rick Simpson oil was the THC oil, which was the cannabis extract. And then I'll come on to some of the other things that I've done. Let's get moving anyway on here. So, photos. I can't always see where it is. So there's a lot of my photos where I look like this, feeling sorry for myself. These are usually early hours in the morning, and it's the same process all the time. I'll be in bed by 2. I'll be home by this. I'll stop at this time, and then it'll be 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it'll be midday the next morning. And there was a period where it was pretty consistent like that as well. There's always that face I pulled after, and I've been looking through my photos. It was 2020 where there was a light that went off in me, and the smile come out, and it was this energy about me. I'm looking back through the photo, and I realized there was something that happened to me in 2020. There was a love within me. And I really encourage people to go back, because you'll see there's moments of sparks. I remember going to Ibiza. And again, I feel like I was set up even on that trip. Ibiza, we get there on the first night. And Ibiza's hardcore partying anyway. We go out, as we do. That boxer was there as well. He come late. We come back. The safe has been ripped out the wall. All my passport, all my wallet, all my iPhone, my iPad. And I was traveling straight to Croatia from there. That was my first night. My phone ended up in Algeria 2 weeks later. But there was a night where I had a fit in the shower, like a panic attack. I don't remember it. I don't remember it. My mate said I went all limp, and he just said I had to tuck you in and put you to bed. So another thing that I was doing, I'd party hard, I'd work hard, and then I was trying to get a side hustle going all the time. So, and again, I feel like I got pushed into some of these ideas, and someone gives me an idea and I see potential in it, I go with it. And this was called Bubble Kicks. I set it up, it was a Zorbing company. And the reason why I'm showing this, again, how I got screwed over, I lost a lot of money on this one. This was stressful. And I'd usually have a few bookings on at the weekend, and we'd do, like, I'll show you, it's a Zorbing football. It started growing to the point where I met someone in Canada. on a course that I got introduced to by that person that I work with. I then set up Bubble Kicks Canada with him. And I went over to Canada to set this up. I put a lot of money into it, got absolutely ripped off. Got ripped off. Even the balls that we bought were damaged straight away. And I'm like, and I paid for this guy to go coaching because he's not all up to speed. Based on words. I met this guy once or twice, had a good laugh with him. We went out and got drunk on one of the nights when it was end of the course. I'm like, let's do business together. Got a good idea. Like, how many times have we done this with people? You don't know. You get excited. It sounds great. Everything went wrong. Everything went wrong. Come back. There's going to be more of these photos where I'm like this. So this is just over a period. This doesn't link. But also to show you, my thing was toffee crisps. So you'd always find me on here. That was the bubble football. So you'd do stag events. And I used to take a few of these around the country. And again, you had to put them in your car. You had to blow them up. You had to take the event. I remember one of the events that I had someone else working for me. You'll see in the top of these things here, there's a hole. And we used to do one called suicide runs at the end, where two people run head to head and you bounce off each other. You always make it clear, don't duck, always stay up because you might bash your heads. I get a phone call on one of the days. And again, when I say that God was here, I never made people sign waivers or anything. But then something made me get them to the bookings. And I said to the guy, look, this was the first time we used it, the first time. Can you get everyone to sign a waiver? I need you to do that for me. And so grateful that he did. Two people at a stag do ran to like stags. They ducked down, they smashed each other's heads. Someone fractured their skull. And I'll get the phone call like that. He said there's brains everywhere, all this sort of stuff. So I'm getting all this. I had insurance, luckily. So they dealt with it all. I didn't have any arrangement with them or conversation with them for 2.5 years. But the guy got his claim and I had to pay out a tiny bit on there. But I was fortunate enough with the terms and conditions. So things like this, I now look at this. I learned a bit. None of it served me at all. It was stress. It was always stress. Yeah, that was me back then in Canada. At the same time, people, this was October 2014. I went to David Icke at Wembley. It was a 10-hour event. I remember actually one of the guys gave me cannabis there. I was high the whole time, never really done it before. So this was around the time where I started getting introduced to this as well. And why I think this is important is I start off just fitness. And imagine me in a circle and it's like, right, there's clients in London, I'm getting development and training. Now I'm seeing that there's more to life. I'm kind of expanding, but I'm not sticking. I'm just evolving the whole time. But then I get introduced to truth. And I remember getting the connections. I had a facial, someone booked me in. I met someone at a rave. They said, go see this woman. Very common. She changed my life, or that moment changed did a facial, never had one before. And in the middle of the facial, she was doing something to my thing. And I must have been tripping out, like in a trance. And I remember there was this clock spiraling around and it had all the Latin numbers on there. And she touched my nose and this yellow flower blossomed out. And I went, oh, like this. And she went back and she goes, whoa, what was that? She said, it feels like you sucked all my energy out of me. She introduced me to a guy that then happened to get me on the track with Flat Earth. It was from that moment. She also introduced me to someone that was the DMT. So all this period, and I was really looking into truth at this time. And the things were then, this was just before Flat Earth come out. Must have been around that time, because the next event that I saw of David, I actually called him out from Flat Earth, and that was after we knew what Shields was. He wouldn't touch it. But he knew everything that was going on, 9/11, politicians, paedophiles in politics, and there was loads. It was interesting, and the way that he broke down the official narrative, he was spot on. These are the sort of nights that we'd have. My mate fall asleep, we'd do things like this. That was one blessing for me. I never fell asleep. I just would have things like this. I was always like the last one standing, on anything that I did on things, and there was two other lads that were just absolute creatures. But it was when it was time for bed for me, it was time for bed. Then I go out to Australia again. I'm meeting random people, clubbing, raving, and then I come back, and this is where I started looking at myself, thinking I'm a personal trainer here. I'm not in good shape at all. And then you'll get people saying, "Oh, you're in good shape still." And I know, and this is for everyone here, you know when you what good shape is for yourself. Like, you used to be outspoken by your trainer, no, you're fine and stuff. But you know if you put on a bit of weight, for me, I feel it on my sides. You can see it, don't fit in your clothes, And it's the stress, but when someone else tells you don't worry about it, you just listen to them in the end, but something deep down, not. So I remember I was depressed out there. I actually felt a depression. Just wanted, I just miserable, felt lonely. So I come back and I started training. And again, I had more knowledge, more awareness this time. Going out a bit more, loving my coats, going out, like my lifestyle is starting to change. I'm living the London lifestyle. But then so does my body. So although I'm going out hard, I'm training hard too. I'm going for, this was on the bubble kicks as well. Again, I feel like I got set up on this. I went to raise money for my bubble football thing. I spent $2,500 on a video. And even these two guys connect as well. To get onto the platform where they find investors for you and stuff as well. I just spent loads of money and I got nothing. But that was me. And I tried to find some more. But after that, I almost stopped doing this because I had a guy working for me. I haven't got to my breakdown yet. But I had a guy working for me that was stealing loads to the point where it was like £7,000 that he'd stolen out my account, and I wasn't paying attention. And I had on my Barclays app shared accounts. He was also stealing from my education company. I didn't know. And it was moments like where I'm not paying attention, being an idiot, really if I was looking through my business partner's eyes, I'm getting drunk, I'm going out doing drugs, I'm not performing at work, I'm not paying attention, I'm doing my own side businesses. Like, it was crazy. I've heard that CBD can stop. CBD's the CBD's the fake one. Anything you get in those shops, there's nothing in it. Is THC. That's the stuff that we need to look at. All I encourage people first, before cannabis, just look at your endocannabinoid system. And then you'll start seeing that system needs to be activated optimally all the time. Its main job is just to heal you. That's it. We're just not told about it. MDMA, ecstasy, MDMA. And I've had some good nights on. It's love. It's a love drug. Again, people play on you and they exploit you in those moments. I used to go back to my college. I used to start speaking to the students about my journey at this point. And I remember like the feeling of it, because that's where I come from. And I traveled just a bit at this time, and I was showing like what London life was like. I wasn't told about London. I didn't know anything about it. So I used to start talking. But this is 9 weeks. This first photo shoot that I did was 9 weeks from that first photo that you saw. And I remember I was going horse racing quite a lot. So I started gambling quite a lot on horses. And I used to win ridiculous amounts of money on certain things, but also lose. So now you can start seeing where the vices are. And the reason why I'm sharing all this for everyone, because what I've learned, if we take me as the sun and you've got the moon that goes all the way around, look at my life with all the different vices, moon. I'm trying all these different things because what I realized, there was something lacking from my life, something missing. I didn't know. There was something missing, something lacking. And it was like I had to go and seek all these different things first that seemed to be lighting people up, people making money from it, people enjoying it, having a good time, seemed to be linking. And I was searching, I still couldn't find it. And what I realized out of all of it, it's always from within. So it's like the whole moon cycle. I try every different character and I come back to a new moon again. So use all of your things as cycles. Like, we go through phases. nothing to be ashamed of. Just take a teaching. What would you do differently? But look, this was 9 weeks, and you can see quite quickly my body changed. And I got to a point where my body was changing all the time. I could do a thing 2 weeks. If I needed to get into a photo shoot ready, 2 weeks I could change. I told myself that. Always had a good body. I'll never get fat. Like, that was just the words that I told myself. I knew when I got fat because I would always feel it here. You can see on that one. That was after I was straight. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. And I've realized a lot of the things that I've done where I've done well out, I did it because I was interested, I was passionate about it, and I was dedicated to it at that time. It didn't take over my life, and it wasn't something that I just continued doing. It just became part of my life and certain things. So I got more familiar with my body. This is one of the photos where this was a horrible, must have been about a 3-day bender. It was a bank holiday weekend. I just remember both of us were sitting each other. I remember that, yeah, that must have been one of the hardest weekends I had then. So you look at my eyes and stuff as well. And this is the thing, you don't realize it, but you can see. It's just people don't see it before. You look tired, or you look hungover, or you got your hay fever. Sometimes I'd go back to my mum and dad's the day after, just dying. Got hay fever? Yeah, I got hay fever. And then you're lying. Then you would avoid phone calls. Like, there was lots. And then I had back to bubble kicks again. So I'm now doing this book at the weekends after these big nights. Again, always feeling horrible. I was, when I first moved into the gym, we had got Guan as our client. He lived across the road. I got invited onto his friends and family edition. And even this, where I felt like I was being played as well. Yeah, there's loads. For me, it just feels like, oh, everything you're being played. But when we start seeing all the evil systems, you're just a blip in a system. It doesn't need to be devil or ISIS or anything. You're in a system where someone's trying to deceive you. If most of the world are deceivers, then you can know that at some point someone's working to get you. You just don't know when. I then started traveling quite a lot. My friend was on the friends and family. I was getting business class, all flights. So I remember this year I went everywhere. Like, this was to Vegas. And the reason why I'm showing this one, again, I didn't know about this lifestyle. And I realized that I wanted a lot more of this lifestyle from what I was having before. Is if you're not aware of it, you don't know. However, the lifestyle comes with ego, and you start seeing it. It's not always good for you, but flying's nice when you've got good space. Let me just get back to the things. It's quite dapper as well when I did get done up. Look it up. Fasting and eating just fruits helps too. Yeah, for sure. Fruits, God's plan. Can you spell that system to look up? It's called your ENDO cannabinoid system. Thank you, Lorna. You have a very similar to my oldest son. Thank you. You've been very similar to my oldest son. And these are for people as well. Share this, because I put all this out there just to show you my life and where it's got to now. And I'm proud of being able to go back and look through certain things that I have done. And I do cringe about certain things. However, it is these norms that people will get into, and they're just the druggie now, or they're just this now, and that becomes them. For me, it's to show people, no, we can go through all sorts of things and it always change. Again, I used to enjoy my nights out. That was in Vegas. This is the next part of my life. Who remembers these things? Segways ruined my life. Again, someone pitched the idea to me. I went and sourced them, and I thought, well, you can make a load of money on these. That was the reason I invested in them. I bought from China. My first shipment come in, sold them all very quickly, to the point where I made an order for about 30 grand. Like, it was just too easy. As soon as you get them, they were gone. I thought, I'm onto a winner here. So again, I'm coming into the gym and I'm doing, I can't see the other photos to do it as a slideshow. Always show toolbar and sidebar full screen. Right, let me just see if I can get back to that. No. Hang on, I just don't want you looking at all my stuff. I'm a bit more private now, you see. 2 secs, people. How did I get that? Oh, the photos. Play memory slideshow. Okay, that's better. Right, so these were called segues. Someone gave me ideas, started ordering those. Let me just see where they are in that. So this period, I'm now doing bubble football. I've got my gyms. I'm doing the events, and now I'm getting all these orders coming in. This will all add up in a bit. So segues, it ruined my life because everyone that bought them was always through credit cards. I realized that your credit card details and your data is everywhere. I experienced so much fraud. There was about, I think it was 93% of payments at one point were fraud. And you'd go through the back end, the merchant, and you would see all these different cards that got tried, failed. One would go through. On the front end, it would say Mary from Scotland, so you'd send them off. And they were 300 quid a board. Like it was, and I think we was paying about 180, 200. So it's still, the markup was good, but there's a lot of money going out to get them in. I had a breakdown from this one. So again, get invited to weddings. This one was in Portugal. I don't like. Well, you can see at the top now as well the dates of it. So you can see my story. That was from my mates. Then this is the company just to show you some of the things that I did. So it's called Swagger Boards. At the same time, now getting into Flat Earth. Swagger Boards, get the logo done. So then more fancy dress. Then we go into London. I went as an Aborigine. At the time, like, just stupid when we got there. It was a good night. My mate was leaving for Australia. But look at, this is another thing that I didn't even realise. I'm a business owner of a gym in London. Look at the mess. I didn't even realise that sort of stuff. That when I got invited to go on Deal or No Deal, it was in Bristol. I went with one pair of clothes and I looked back and like, what am I wearing? The lady goes, oh, is that what you got? Again, no awareness of that sort of stuff. What we got here. Thank you, Lawrence, for sharing. I will check out. Wow, you've done so much in life, Harry. I hope you're in your 60s. Yeah, this is. Wait till it continues. There's a lot here, but the reason why I show you that I have done a lot. I've got a lot of experience, but what also it is people. And looking back, you start connecting it all. I've never had a credit card either. Lolly, I just was joking, was done so much. Oops, Polly. Jenny, I think Harry is 36 to 42, 36 years young. But again, stupid. You'll see though how it starts edging off. So that was my orders that were coming in from my Swagger boards. Had to leave them in my friend's garage. I was even going extra mile, and this is the thing. I get stickers done, I get your name done, and I'm doing all this for these people that were there just to screw you over. I wanted to try to give a bit more than what other people do, but it's not about that at all. I realized that it's you make it simple, especially when you don't know something. I didn't know this product, and because they come from China, what also happened? You send the board off, and a few days later, it broke. So you got to get them to send it back. You're going to then have to try to speak to someone in China to fix it. That they're not going to lost money to the point where every day my merchant was getting blocked, stopped. In the end, it got blocked. I had £14,000 waiting in there and I couldn't touch it. Too many fraud transactions, and every day £300 will come out. The merchant didn't actually authorize this with their card. £300. I've sent the boards off. I'm on hold all the time. I'm crying in the end. I remember one day it just burst out of me. I couldn't even be on hold because the music was driving me so mad, repeating my story. More nights out. Look, and this is the thing as well. This was my golf. So I'm doing, and this shows you where the signs are. Pay attention. I think I've got a light just saying on there, come on, sort yourself out. So I had an event where there was 2 events at once, and someone let me down with an hour to go. So I had to somehow do them on my own. To put 2 events in one car was almost impossible. So it was like to the very brim, and then I get a puncture after the event. My spare tires in underneath all this, I had to pull all these out, which you have to tightly. And I just remember going, what am I doing? What am I doing? But still continued. I remember getting that as well. And what night time's that? Yeah, 11:30 at night. This was meant to be after a work event. So I get home at 11:30, so it was stress. More nights out with clients coming in. But then look at my body. I'm training. I've skipped quite a bit now, but I'm in so good shape. And you'll see. Well, I haven't got the rest of it. But these sort of things, you'll see. I wasn't like a lot of people when they're doing their really strict diet, like the 6-week one that I told you. I'd still go out. I was a lot more aware, but I was disciplined, really disciplined. And my body was changing all the time from different shoots. And what I saw in the fitness industry, you do one shoot, you get a bit of attention, especially some of the women that used to work for us. And then they go and start competing. And the lifestyle is horrible. Like your whole life is just looking at you, food, stress, like, again, lack of education. And the one thing out of everything I've learned from anything I do now, passion is the most important thing. As soon as you take that out, people do it as a chore. You just go through the motions. Flat Earth at the time as well. So again, I've been looking at all this stuff for a long time. Magician of the Gods. I remember getting this and telling someone else to read it, Graham Hancock, and he woke up. Again, I realize who he is now as well, the person that I shared. You've loved it, interested in, love your stories, incredible. Thank you, Polly. I also was good at what I did. So I was writing for City AM newspaper. And it wasn't just me that got results, it was all my clients. So these were guys all over 40. And they all got shape. I think we did this over, it was 12 weeks we did these ones. I did it with him. He was my client. And then we got in a photo shoot. But I used to write for every week I did an article. Did filming. I remember this night because straight after I go out. But again, look how my lack of awareness. Now if I look at a movie or anything now. So this next photo, I'm like, oh, I look smart. This next photo goes up on my Instagram page. It's a fitness one. Look what's going on in the background. I wasn't even aware. Like, there's no way I'd post anything like that if I was doing that now. But didn't have a clue. Look, just in the middle of the photo, posting that on my. So I used to get shouted out by my business partner, and I'd say, "God, he's such a dick, and he always moans and da da da." Imagine if your business partner's doing that on the whole gym thing. And I can understand it now, but again, no awareness to it at all. And I'd get annoyed when someone would moan or say something, but I wasn't listening. I wasn't actually taking in, like, what are they actually saying? See it through their point of view. Just did it because, yeah, so things like that. So talking about distractions, this is like where my mind went. So I'm still going out. I don't think I've had my breakdown yet because I haven't got to that photo. But then my mate's like, do you want to get involved with this? And this is why I feel some of these people, they're not serious, but it's distraction. I'm looking at frying pans And look, we called it Easy Pan. This is all our designs. We saw one and we thought, right, we'll get one as well. But then we're getting it all crafted. Like, this is the craziness. We were doing it. I was going to put more money in this. And I look back, they must be like, what is he doing? How's he said yes to that? And he's going to go ahead with it as well. What is this doing? What is the thing? It keeps me away from finding God. So if you've got rulers at the top that know the secrets to life, their whole job is to distract you. If you go through life from love and you trust and yeah, they're distracting you. Great, job done. Keep an eye on him, but if he's selling frying pans, I'm okay with that. If he's doing this one, and what's it doing? It's taking his time. They know who's got information. They know who's God's children of light. They know who all of us are. We're all born into their system. So it's like a game of chess. You keep them occupied. You have all the people around them. You have people at certain points on the journey. So I'm now going for different frying pans. I then start traveling a bit more. This is in South Africa. This guy is the owner of a bar. I think it was Club 37. And I found that photo and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Looking back today, that in my photos, what am I doing there? 3 a.m. That's the sort of drunk Harry, like just a big smile, be like goofy and swearing and stuff like that. Cringe. But at the same time, look, I'm in South Africa. That's taken with my iPhone. It was amazing. Like, so I was getting a bit of everything again, and I'm starting to travel. And it was the traveling aspect that, for me, it opens up your eyes to God. That's God's creation. We don't get to see that in the UK. Look at the background. It's just experiencing life. You can label it bad or good, but it's an experience. This is why the movies have been so amazing for us. Our children playing Grand Theft Auto, and we say, that's so bad, it's so violent. If you look at the game, look at the environment, listen to the music, look at the storyline. There's always a deeper message. It allows people to think there's more out there, because there is. To your point of view, your contribution is much appreciated. Thank you. Something wrong. And time doesn't even exist. I know. It is the movement and belief that creates it. And that's the thing. They use it in our benefit. They delay tactics because they plan out things. Right, you meet them there, you go on a few dates, and then we'll go here, then we'll connect you for that one, then you get them into that, and they do that around your life. And some of the people that brought me into London, they gave me books. One was called The Game. One was called 12 Magic Bullets. One was called Chasing Bullets. It's almost like mocking you. So I was close. I think I've got a video, actually. This was my 2015. I was... This point here, I remember just before I went to the trip, we did our accounts and I was in charge of cash flow. And I say it like that still, even like what I'm doing it. I completely messed up, and we're thousands behind to pay our staff. And that was always stressful every month to pay your staff. Salaries would go up to about 30K a month. And that was the one thing, you want to pay your staff first, but I never paid myself after. It's almost, I remember the stress that I had from that phone call. And it was almost like every trip and holiday I went, stress from work always. South Africa is great because there's an hour time difference. But let me see this, because I haven't watched this since. Let me who's that? I'll share it with the music. And South Africa people. It's just magic. Again, more nights like this. That was the day I opened my gym. Okay, so this is where it starts. My life starts changing a bit, and we mentioned the word psychedelic. But this is where I started. I was searching still. So I started doing a lot more workshops for my staff. That was the city studio. I think I went back to South Africa. Again, I was depressed when I went back to that one. That whole experience was interesting. I had a 6-hour drive and I forgot my driving license. Had to bribe the police officer a bottle of vodka, and she managed to get me a hire car. That was a horrible trip, and that was the one sign that I got was, okay, God's here still. This was meant to happen. So rainbows, people, they're magic when you see them. So this is the time. So you know when people say, "Oh, DMT, your third eye and stuff." Well, this is what you see, or even beyond this. It's hard to put into words. When people recall these images and stuff, this is inside your experiences. It's beyond anything that you even experience. But this is God to another degree. Like we get, and for me, this changed my life. This DMT, and I went on a journey where I was doing a few ceremonies and stuff, and it's plant medicine. I call it healing and stuff, but what it does, it completely disrupts what you know as normal. Again, normally searching for more. If someone told me that was God, and I call plant medicine now, plant medicine is God showing, look what I can really do. Let me blow you away so much. This is what I can really do. So do you think I can work with you in this human experience where it's quite simple? It's showing you what God can really do beyond your capabilities. So if you just trust in yourself, God works for you fine. So for me, it's a taste into it. What happens is you're not told it, so people go and chase that one because that was such an experience and my life's terrible. They're saying, no, that is here now. You can have all this. It stretches your imagination beyond belief. Same time, flat earth. So you're going to see the same sort of thing now, going out, working, signing contracts. God, I remember that one as well. Even these guys were dodgy. We did a partnership with our it's amazing how it brings back memories. Did a partnership with our education company, so we started setting up the education. Another thing that was quite interesting going back through it is, you know, when you get motivation quotes on your phone, I'm like, I'm seeing where was my mind at? That Leo looks for an emotional connection more than anything else. And after these DMT trips, I remember there was a girl on one of them, and something happened on that day where we connected. It was like, and someone said, "You two are making these noises like in a jazz band." It was like you was in sync, and something come up for me. So I started writing this, and look, and I looked at it just a minute ago. There's the yin and yang's already on there. There was the hand. There was a connection and stuff on there. But in my head, and this shows you how much life changes. And this time I'm on my spiritual journey, and I wasn't even meditating at the time. I was just DMT spiritual. Try to describe my trips. I don't know what love is, but I now know how love should feel. Oh, let's see what that actually says there. A Leo looks for an emotional connection more than anything else. Okay, maybe I got that as inspired. Reality is an illusion. Life is not what it seems. We are not one. What next? Educate. I don't remember writing these people. So look at the top: Brazil, claim Brazil, travel to Vegas, Thailand, South Africa, Australia, Europe. It's better to live one day as a lion and then for 1,000 years. So not all my own quotes either. But then all the flat earth, and this is crazy. I wanted to get a tattoo based on my trip, and this was kind of the tattoo idea. And I don't have tattoos. This is a tattoo idea on my back. It was going to feel a tiny bit on my back, and then leave the rest to be continued. 2 years later, I looked at it. I didn't want any of that on my body, and I realized that when people ink their body, that's permanent, and we change all the time. What feels good, and beyond that, the ink blocks out the light coming into your body. So if you start looking at it from that perspective, they've tricked us into marking our body to block light coming in. I remember things like this at this point as well. So I was getting a taste for breaking free. And A really nice one for the DMT, actually, people, was Joe Rogan. Just type Joe Rogan DMT. It's a 5-minute video. It's worth watching. And people are, oh, no, 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 still. When we go into this new world and they show us what it's capable of, more people will be doing it. Is the next part is love, is to go into these experiences to actually see how powerful we are. It's all within us. And this was the men in the shadows, I remember. It was the Illuminati, the evil ones. I was going to get that on the tattoo as well to show that these people control the world and you've got to live a good life. And there was this is quite symbolic for me as well. It's like this touch of energy. And this photo has always been one that's popped up for me over the years. I realized the power of energy at this point. No understanding, no meaning. I just had the experience. So again, I'm on my journey now, and these things, they stay with you. At the time, it didn't make sense. It was just mind-blowing. I had these experiences. I had this connection. I was getting all these downloads. I didn't call it downloads. I was just writing at the time. I went to Colombia. That was a great trip. Getting causing trouble all the time. And this is when we started finding out about Big Mike. So this is 2016. This flew over my house one day. It was like, I'm actually going through my whole life here. This still will connect a lot. I didn't realize how many photos I've got. I'm on 100. There's 400 that I've put in. So I'll skip through a bit more. But the reason why I'm showing you all this, because it really helps them when I do share my stories, I can connect it back to something with a real experience and I teach it. And also to show you, I've met a lot of people along this journey. I've done a lot of things and I realize nothing sticks. So it means there's no attachment to a lot of things. Training again, watching Cowspiracy, going to do more bookings like in houses like this. Again, in the middle of nowhere, driving after, had to take a time out to make a few £100. It was the amount of stress, energy, and also the reluctance to do certain things. Was, oh, this booking was a nightmare because my pump broke on the way there. It's panic stations before we even get going. Yeah, so all these different things. I put that in there just to show you that still doing this. At the time, we're getting chemtrails, so started seeing it at this point. But it's 2016, so this is where Trump is starting to run for president, and this is quite key. I'll skip through a bit of these to show you I travelled. I remember going to France for the Euros, and we went to the Royal Opera Hall. It was amazing, different experience for me. And I watched a show which was what's his name? It was an artist who had a nice album. Robbie Blake. I think it was something Blake. But he had a nice album and they did the opera to his. And I was like, well, this is really different. Again, appreciation. Didn't like that sort of stuff, wasn't my thing. But it just gave me a little tip. When I went to South Africa, I went to the vineyards, and started seeing how wine was made. In Australia, in California, it was like appreciation for things. Then just even some of the artwork that I just popped up today. Then had the opportunity with Chelsea with our education. Again, I feel that this was a bit of a setup, doing talks. We were so close with getting this amazing deal. It would have changed my life. And they pulled out with a week to go and there was no explanation. I couldn't work why. I just remember I used to come home and tell my dad, oh, I've got something that's going to happen. And he'd heard it so many times and it never happened. There were so many things where I'm like, and he always said you put your trust in people too much. And it was a done deal on a lot of the stuff. But I look back and I do feel like a lot of these things, again, from the connections that I've had since going back. Then I went to Brazil on my own for my birthday for the World Cup. And this Caipirinhas. And again, the people I was meeting, I was just like, this was a TV set in Brazil and I got invited up. Then we jumped on this thing. There's a lot of transsexuals in Brazil. And I was on TV. Like I was just Mr. Cheeky everywhere. Then I'd meet, he's a Great Britain legend, Chris Hoy. And then art. Like there's this place out here for the Olympics. Look at it. Brazil, if you ever get to go, it's the most multicultural place in the world, I'd say. I've been a few times, and every time I'm like, I love this place. Energy, soul. But if we go back in the olden days, the Portuguese come over to share the message of Christ. It's very faithful in the country. And you also then had Angola from the African continent. So it is a complete mix. But there was so much soul. At the same time, I walked past Mayweather, being cheeky. I saved this one because you can hear my passion. It's the first time in my life where I said, "Oh, I missed out I went for the World Cup as well." So this is 2 years after for the Olympics. This is when Mo Farah won gold. I just wanted to show this one because of my passion and my voice.
Jackson! Elmo! Get him! Come on, Mo! Come on, Mo! Come on! Come on, Mo! Get him, Mo! Come on! 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 Come on!
It's amazing. So that's what I mean, like connection like that. You don't know people, but you wear a t-shirt. You're now British. And I'm proud to be British on that one. I've never said that. The reason why I put that in today was that's the feeling we're going to get when we do come together, because what we're about to experience in terms of revealing how dark and evil and connected it all is, you're going to see what you've gone through. You're going to see how strong you've actually been, and also where it feels like, oh, I've still not worked out my life, and no, you've done all the tests at that part. Now you get the bit to enjoy with the experience. You get the choice to go better. Thank you for sharing today, Susan. I didn't realize I've got so many things here on today, so many photos. More of these. Again, appreciation for art. That was another business idea. I know, I'll get these people seen in our country. The favelas. Something that I took from this favela, Rashina, is one of the biggest in the world. The tour guide said they live in poverty, but they're happy people. And it was all about the community, and I loved that. It was so true. They had each other. She talked about a professional footballer, Romario, whose family all moved out of the favelas when he made it, but quite quickly they moved back in again. That was the bit that was the part of their life, was the connection. Again, little signs that I saw. That character now comes in so much more. If we go back to the start, you'll see that was a truth. It's just the way it's been told, and we're seeing more Jesus talk than ever now, because you're seeing what all this comes down to. They couldn't go against God, so they needed to have a Lord or a Savior, which they call their God, Jesus Christ. Took away your sins, so gives you an excuse. It's just the stories we've been told. A special place. This was me as a kid. And I remember this is when Trump gets Mr. President. So I go to America literally a few weeks after, did a road trip, get arrested my first night in Texas. That was an interesting trip as well. Everything went wrong on that trip. Missed my flight home, get arrested, got pulled over 3 times, crashed my hire car. Missed the game in Texas, the biggest student game there was. All sorts of things. Got introduced to Alexa technology, which is I remember. But I remember Trump, and I remember the talking point was I was the same as everyone else. So he's bad. But Americans weren't really. They're all saying they didn't vote for him, and then a few times they've come back and say I did vote for him. I just didn't tell anyone. I did Texas, New Orleans, Memphis, Nashville. That was good. And then my trip home was to Atlanta on the way back. Jesus Christ, I am the light. Exactly. Always from within. That was a school photo of me, even like the tie and stuff, top set English, operation on my knee. This is a building I used to go in quite a lot. Now I look at it. That was created about 25 years ago. It was the tallest building in London at the time. And when I first come into the city, that was the building. There was a private members club up there, and I was in there all the time. So I'm looking from energy now. I was at one of the highest points in the city all the time. Even if I wasn't realizing my presence, my energy is still above. So this is why hiking is so important. This is why stairs are so important. When you go up the stairs next, or if you're in the gym, have fun with it, close your eyes. In your head, walk up as high as you can. So wherever you are in your town, in your city, in your head each day, because your soul doesn't know direction, only what meaning you give it. Take yourself above the clouds. Take yourself up to space. Take yourself up to your perch, looking down at your kingdom. Just once, confirm it with your soul. Imagination. That was all my staff. That was wow, blooming hell. That was a Christmas do out. I had a lot of party people in my staff team as well. Then started getting into cannabis. Then just checking you're okay with me going through all this, because it wasn't with the intention today, but this has been actually quite interesting for me. Education for myself. I spent a lot on my education, and I was encouraged. And I am grateful for the people I was met with. My business partner, one thing I did get was all these courses, but he always picked them, and we went on all these different courses. But it educated me, and it made me realize the importance of. Without that, I don't think I would have. I don't think a lot of people do invest in themselves. Training wise, I was training like a beast all the time. Like, I think I've got a video, just a quick one of just again to show you all facets to it. Hey people, hopefully you can see me.
Itaú Uniclass, para você chegar lá.
Let me know if you can see me, people. Hey people.
Para você chegar lá.
Welcome back, people. I don't know why it keeps doing things like that at the moment. It's frustrating. Yeah, so well, thank you for your patience. Lost a few people there as well. Zoom, let me just share back on again. There's no reason for it to do that as well, which is really... All right, where are we? 2.5 hours. I might do this in 2 parts just to skip through, because I'm not actually getting anywhere with the whole premise of the connecting it all. But again, I've done it now anyway. So where is the screen to share? Share this with that. Right. So let's go back to the photos again. Okay. So this in my wall. Again, doing more articles and stuff. So I'm doing a lot at this time. And I remember my diaries were back to back, and then doing this at the weekend and going out. It was just constant. And I remember when I first left for Brazil during COVID, and I remember waking up in the morning where I didn't have any responsibility. And it was the first time in my life where I actually felt a weight lifted from my shoulders. That was 2021. So this was 2017. I'm not sure if you remember the London Bridge stabbings. This was an all set up event, but me being Mr. Conspiracy Theorist, I'm like, I'm gonna go. This is rubbish. Everything was closed. Like, and there was just cars and everything everywhere. Apparently, a few people have been stabbed, but it was just all for cameras, and none of it made sense at the time. And I just thought, again, the Illuminati, the elites, they're all doing it. So I went on Mr. Secret mode. So I'm in a secret bit in London Bridge. I'm just going to have a little look, because there's no people around at all. We'll see what I can see. just even that, with the sirens flashing all the time, there was no one there. It was all a big act. So everything was empty. It was just strange. It was all on at that point. So this is, remember, 2017. So Trump's already in at this point. It's time to prioritize the safety of our country and its people. Social media users call for the general election to be suspended following the London Bridge attack. So yeah, it was just interesting that time. I was into conspiracies, but not into it. But look on the bus, people. Look, 33. And you could start seeing it. And there was a page I used to follow called Russian Vids, and he used to show you numerology. And it always had 33 in it, but he used to say it as the bad things. I feel that was a count just to get us paying attention to it. So again, when you find the truth, you change your perception. So I was a massive into truth. Like, I remember coming home from work every day, we'd have on a flat earth documentary somewhere. Wow. Okay, so here's one. So there's a plant medicine called Cambo. Not sure if you heard of it. Cambo is a frog poison, goes into your lymphatic system, and it's a drainage. I was told about it a long time ago with cancer. And it also was shown that on cancer treatments, they actually say we don't recommend you doing things like this, because this just gets crap out of your system. You're sick. So you go to a group with your own, and they give you a bucket, play some music, and then you do the Cambo. I'm an old soul. You can do the Cambo, and I did it all. I turned into a frog. Look, so this is my face on the way back. I'm like, what has gone on my face? Watch this. From my leg, my face went like that, and I realized why. When I'm being sick, I've got my head facing down, and all the poison must have just gone to my head, and that put me off because my ears are swollen, everything was swollen. I'm a different person. I'm like, what has gone on? I turned into a frog. And I saw loads of different documentaries after, and it was, again, releasing things out the body. The way you do it is your positioning of your head. And I just had to happen to get onto it. Again, get in trouble with work. Why are you doing plant medicine, and why are you doing all this for? I've done this a number of times. It's horrible when you're in it. It definitely changes the body, because it takes it to it is more of a cellular level when you're lymphatic. It's a drainage. These are just younger photos of me. Like you can see, baby Harry, stupid Harry. Then I get into cryptocurrency. And this was again from horse racing to then crypto, because crypto was like the talking point. But I didn't buy coins. I was trading. But I remember, look at the balance on there. Look, 3,500 equity. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. But the first day I put any money on this platform, it just shot up. I'm like, oh my God, I'm 2,800 and 4,000, like within seconds. I thought I was an expert, didn't know what these trading things were like, just oblivious. I was going to Vegas for a fitness function. I've left the whole thing open. In my head, I'm going, I've got all this money to come Vegas with me. I got off the plane, it had all gone, lost it all, all of it. And I say lost it all, I didn't have it to start with, but that, and I chased and chased for ages. So there'll be a few photos in here where you see different things like that. I lost a lot of money on that sort of stuff, and I got into my bad little way. Didn't realize until after, when I was too scared to look at my credit card statements. Too scared. And I know people have had bad gambling issues and things like that. I didn't think it was bad until I started adding up, and every bit of money I had was always gone. Always gone. And again, I used to live like a book that I read, and I read the interpretation wrong. It was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it said you've got to live your life and not just have it all just saving in the bank. But I didn't realize it was to put your money, invest in other stuff. So again, stupid things, but connected with all sorts of people around the world. Again, just shows you what a night out looks like. Back to doing good stuff, inspiring people. So I was living two lives really, and people didn't take me seriously friend-wise, because they knew the stupid Harry. And I found it hard to get breaks in the city. I was respected in the fitness industry, but I found it difficult to get breaks. But City AM was a nice one for me. Again, more bookings, more faces, more training hard. So it was like a cycle. So I was going through these phases, and this is where I start having this phoenix come into my life. And I remember I did the ceremony once, and I was crying in it. And I was laying like this, and the guy happened to say he was a psychic from Syria, he was. And he said, there's something happened to you when you were younger. And it just felt like you was in the womb. And I remember looking up at him in my vision, and he was doing this kind of dancey thing and making this noise. And I said to him the next time I saw him, I said, you look like a bird was coming out of your hands when I was on the thing. And he laughed. He said, go and look in that room. And there was a phoenix on his wardrobe. So phoenix just stayed with me for a while after as well. So just how certain things in your life happen but don't make no sense, and then I end up in phoenix. So this is when I'm now 30, August the 9th, 2017. And this is still the sort of way I was receiving stuff, starting to do a lot more movement, going festivals, taking classes, getting refurbs in my gym. City, or what's this? So this was my gym in the city. But just also showing all this, when I do my courses and the spiritual stuff, this is all this stuff compiled with my teachings. This is not just doing a meditation once and then doing it on. And this is what I've learned now. There's imitators. There's people that speak of it. They don't attach it to anything. I can show all my stuff. Yet it's just that's been my hardest thing. It's like I come from a world where it was respected into a place called truth, and it doesn't get received. Like the last month's been challenging for me because I ask friendly, can I get comments on the meditations? Can I get feedback? I get nothing really. I get one or two people say, it's like I give all this energy out, I give all this and it's not received. And I realize it's because where I am, it's the truth movement with other agendas. And it's almost like people have played a game and now they're not in the game. They're allowed to take still, but they're not allowed to be seen to give any credit, not allowed to be. The hardest thing was to get a testimonial. It was hard. It was, and this is, and I feel like I give a lot more now than I ever have. So that was my thing that I couldn't work out for ages. And I realized it's because it's the truth. It's simple. People don't want simplicity. It's too easy. And people try to stop the truth from coming out. So it's been a big journey for me. That was my city studio, Liverpool Street. So this is the turning point in my life. Went to Cyprus. It was like a school reunion, stag do. It felt like it was just crazy alcohol and drugs. And I had a breakdown. All my mates from school, good to catch. I hadn't seen them in years, some of them. I'm crying in front of all of them. And I remember coming back and I got introduced to meditation. I was a mess. I remember just how I felt. It's just I remember having a panic attack, anxiety attack. Again, that 31st of August, I remember I was on the beach. I had to pay my staff on the 1st, no, on the 5th, I think it was, invoices before the 1st, something like that. I remember panicking. And I remember panicking, not getting back to emails. I remember panicking for not getting back to Pete. It was just a constant procrastination, a horrible feeling, horrible. I was low, come back. It was like I was masking everything. Then I found something called Bufo, called 5-MeO, which is DMT on steroids. It's called the God molecule. And if you search 5-MeO, it just they call it the ego death. It takes you to another dimension completely. I became everything. And I showed this part here. I've done Bufo 4 times now. I did it with this guy who wrote this book, actually, Dr. Gerardo. And Gerardo Rubin, he was Mexican. And then I remember my client used to give me these books and stuff. This woman was really high up, and I thought she's so cool. She comes to all these events. she's one of the people that I was talking about as involved, knows what's going on, hides people from the truth, but she had the truth. She had it all there. But you don't call it God, you call it spiritual, you call it this. This woman had she used to go to all these places around the world. She'd be in Morocco, then she'd be in India, then and she'd come back with all this. She was a top CEO. And it was almost like she was giving it to me, but like knowing that I wasn't paying attention to it. Then I start turning spiritual, get my spiritual jumper, as people do. Going back, just saw the numbers pop up. Betting, psychedelics. My favorite quote. Then all the movement stuff. I want to show you this one because this is the sort of moving stuff that I do with my trade. Just won't put the sound on. We call it low. Sorry, people. This has been quite a lot recently. It's been happening. Let me know if you can see me. Can you see me? Okay, thank you, Cherry. So back again. Not sure why it keeps happening like that. So I'll keep going. I'll keep going because I haven't even got into the main parts of there was the linking. This is the turning points in my life where I had the breakdown, come back, start meditating, start searching, doing these plant medicines, getting shown different things, but not taking it all in. But what am I doing? I'm having the experience. Didn't have the meaning. And I'm looking, I'm feeling, I'm working out, and I am paving my own way, really, if I can go back and look at it like that. I'm not sure how much you saw that one, but just to show you that even the way that I moved the body, the way that we explored different things, I always went against the norms. Oh, I didn't go against the norms. It was just we was exploring all the time and finding different ways that we could use the brain while you're training. Yeah, I used to. This is a good period actually for me in terms of like my education and knowledge on the gym side. What else we got? Yeah, so that was one turning point. Again, more going out feeling like that. That was a common thing, that phase. Like 7 o'clock in the morning. Horrible. And I remember laying in bed just listening to Wayne Dyer or listening to someone making me try to feel better, just feeling sorry for myself all the time. And it was constant. I lived with my best mate, so it was always and we were both from out the area, so it was almost like we're in London, we might as well make the most of it all the time. And this is where I got arrested, and this is the other turning point. This is me on the floor. I'll play a tiny bit. It's a bit embarrassing.
What's your name? What's your name? Have you ever got pubes? You're fucking guilty.
Relax. Stop.
No.
Because you're
For
fighting
what?
me. Relax.
I will fight you because you've got nothing on me.
I can't hear it, but maybe that's a good thing.
What's your name? What's your
Let
name?
me just check my
Have
speakers.
you ever got pubes? You're fucking guilty.
Relax.
Okay, there's no sound with that one, but that's fine. I'll go to that. I had eight cops in the end that got pulled out for me. And that went to court. And that was yeah, I remember getting my letter, representative, didn't have a clue what I was really doing, but I knew my rights. But I'd got beaten up by him effectively. Bruises everywhere, gambling. You couldn't hear the video though, right? Then I got taken to an art gallery, and I just remember these images stuck with me. It was just life that we hadn't experienced, but things like this. Yeah, it just popped up today, and I just thought, whoa, just things, what we're shown, this is still a creation. And based on that, it's brutal, but we now know that this goes on in the world, so we can appreciate all things. cannabis, courses, transformations, and then just the people that I started working with next. It was then like the influencer scene. So I was getting, and it's almost like, right, Harry's on a journey. Now we've got to put influencers in front of him. So again, my story I'm sharing. But it was like the caliber of the people that I was working with was going up in terms of the status in society, going to different events, tutoring, getting beefy, doing all sorts of transformations, 2-week ones, spiritual, going on radio show. So it's just a complete different mix all the time. I think I went to a breathwork session and someone wrote these on there. I am important to myself. I am enough. I fear not. I open my heart to love. I'm thankful. I forgive. I carry no guilt. Someone wrote that for me as in that one. Again, I never even read it. I didn't take any attention to it, but just simple things. You look back now, I just feel is all this is adding to my story. Then I got a car, met a woman. I remember because I wasn't going out as much then, because I had my breakdown in the Cyprus. Then I got arrested again. I thought, right, I need to just stop drinking a lot more. And then I got a car, and then I was interested in someone for a bit. Body's looking good. Like it was just a cycle. So this is when I went to court. And I remember I spent loads on this court, and I realised the whole court system's all fraudulent as well. They shouldn't have arrested me in the first place. I still had to go to court because it went from assault of a police officer, which he put fake photos in, and and theft, to resisting arrest and disturbing the peace. So I still had to go to court, but they dropped both charges because they didn't have the evidence. But I'm just thinking, for most people, you wouldn't go to court for this. Like you'd end up getting in trouble because of the situation you get into. I turned up at court and the police officer didn't turn up, just didn't show up. So again, I look at that. That could have got me a criminal record. That could have stopped me traveling. Like little things like that. He didn't show up. So I come out and I remember, look, there's a smile on my face. It's like, yes, sort myself out now. Sort myself out. I'm not drinking half as much, not going out. I'm going to continue on my self-development. So I'm doing more videos, more designs from a gym, starting to go to private members clubs more. Oh yeah, even stupid things. This is where I said about where you get set up in groups. I remember I had a thing for a girl and I said, I want to be different for Valentine. I want to be different. And these two didn't know each other, but seemed to get on really well with each other. She encouraged me to get her a bloody, watch this, you're going to laugh. That was the first book on my self-development journey. That was the first one. So look, 2018, I started this self-development journey. Dan Meredith, How to Be Fucking Awesome. It was a good book at the time, personal trainer. I don't know how I'd like it now, but I got a lot from it because he was talking. I was in the gym listening to that to start with. And I remember that was the start. And I'm going to show you where I am now in the space 2018. So again, people, just to show you in terms of knowledge and stuff, you can get a lot in and it sticks and it becomes a part of your life. I saw that in my phone as well. So I obviously had these things from my dad before, but just he's been the one who's been helping me a lot on that one. So I didn't even show you that thing. Okay, that story can save for another one. I can come back for that one. Just what I got and the lengths that I had to do around a goldfish. And I realized they were all mocking me. It was still funny looking back as well. But to buy a goldfish, people in the UK is hard. I got turned away. You meant to have a thing all prepared for a week before and the water climatized and stuff. I got turned away. I was like James Bond buying a goldfish. But can you imagine receiving a goldfish? It was called Dumbbell. And yeah, they must have just had a right giggle over that one. So this is the last turning point. The stag do. I didn't want to go to this stag do. There's a lot. All these are the lads that I was with, all from my area, all different groups of boys as well. I didn't want to go. I woke up. So this was my last photo of it. This was the stag in his wig. Just horrible, tacky. stag. I ended up in a prison cell for 40 hours. Don't remember how I got in there. And I remember looking at the sun after. My mate waited for me, everyone else flew on. And I remember seeing this little darkness underneath the sun. And it was from that moment I stopped drinking. So when someone asked about a drink, it was March the 5th, 2018. The beer that was bought for me, and I just looked at it and didn't have any more. I come back and the lady, one of my clients said, I think you should stop drinking. It always gets you in trouble. So I stopped. So I showed that, look, that was depressed Harry. I was down, really down. Then I got really ill after this as well. So the cell was horrible that I was in, but I was sweating all the time, went hospital, I was on a drip. Yeah, it wasn't a good point. But again, I wasn't looking after myself at all. Then again, back to, so you can imagine like the life, people do this in the city all the time. But there's one part of me at least, there's many more, but one part at least, if you're living all these different lives, is you're not being yourself for one part of you. So how many different roles are you playing where you're not being yourself? You're changing for someone else. You're changing to impress. You're saying things because you want them to hear it or you think that's what they're like. Did it all the time. So that was a Chelsea deal that just caved in at the end. I don't know how. Remember that was the second book that I read. So I'm now taking screenshots of my books, but look, I'm getting even better shape, like ridiculous shape. I was looking at the photos today. I'm like, flipping hell. I didn't realize all this, could say even too much there, but it was almost like everything I did, it just become even more natural in the end. And this is by the time that I think I did one last ever photo shoot after that. I didn't need to anymore. It's almost like I've done that. I know how to do it, and I've got the photos for it now. I remember this was the wedding from that stag, and I felt terrible. And I remember I was getting a lecture. You're what did you say? You need to stop letting your mum down. You need to do this, like from people completely drunk. And I remember watching like everything unfold, and I remember looking and going, "Wow, how drunk is he?" And then the next bit in my head, my ego goes, or my soul, whatever, that was the truth. That's how bad you were, but worse. Then get really more into the education. I'm just going to fly through the photos today, people, because I'll quite often we'll do a part 2 because I've just seen the time of it as well. It's just, yeah, again, there's a lot. This is all in the space of a few years, but there's a lot. But you can see how my mind works and when I'm looking at truth and trying to research and stuff, because I've got many different viewpoints. Go to Coachella, I go completely sober, which was amazing because I got to remember everything. See Eminem, 50 Cent, Dr. Dre. Then at the same time, and this is where I feel like, yeah, I'm going to save it from here because I feel at this point here, we were asked to move or pay ridiculous rent on our first gym. And I was looking at the dates now, and I was looking back at I think it was all done deliberately. They know what was coming. So they knew that we weren't going to pay top dollar, which they could. So they moved us in the basement, which they funded, and we had to pay them. Again, connecting it all. So I might leave it at that. Just see if there's any more. Yeah, I'll leave it at that one because people started coming back into my life at this point. So I'm not drinking now. That means I'm not going out. I'm not doing all the other stuff. I'm still doing drugs though. If I went out with my mates, I would be doing coke with them. My excuse was, oh, just so I can stay up with them. That was my excuse. That didn't last too long. But still another 2 years though. 2020 was my last time. And yeah, I'll leave it at Coachella. Because I just feel that there's a lot there to start with, which doesn't lead us into anything, but it sets a nice little foundation. And also I can start from this point with just, even if you're just coming into it on the next one, because it's at this point here where all that other stuff that I've showed at the different people that are coming to my lives at different times, they were in phases. So when I started doing the plant medicine, it was the person that introduced me to the guy that did the plant medicine. And then at the plant medicine, I then get introduced to different sorts of women, mainly from South America. They just happen to be at the event. And I realized because that is God, the guy doing the plant medicine is a gatekeeper, knowing that they need to keep their tabs on anyone. So at festivals, it's evil, fest evil. It's a mass fest of love that they then corrupt. Football games, it's energy, it's collective. There's love to it, but also there's anger and aggression. Why? Because they put thugs in there. It then starts making sense of why it's all been corrupted from the spiritual aspect. It's just to disrupt. And at the same time, with football fights, for example, you get them while they're young. Kids are now experiencing it. They look up to their dad, they look up to their football team, and then they fall into that trap, get corrupted. And once you're in it, you can't get out. Once you get arrested, you're then part of the system. A stag is a bachelor party. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. Very interesting. You are welcome. Thank you for watching, Cherry, as always. Thank you, Collie. So, yeah, going back to all areas. So the gyms is God. Anything to do with your body is God. You're in flow, but it's gone from yoga, and they've mostly tried to infiltrate all the different parts. Then there's different levels of gyms. If you go normal gym, it's posy, it's very ego-y, less mind needed. Then you go up to a notch, which is CrossFit, which is a bit more learning, but they'll have someone in each place at each level, at every part of society. I happen to meet all of these people, and all of a sudden, looking back, I can connect all of them. It's like these individual things that happen in our life, because the other stuff you don't know about, but they still do. It all links. And I've seen it now. It makes so much more sense when you look at Rico. It doesn't need explanations. You don't need to know who's who. What did they do, or what did they do? That comes later. What really happens is everything is going against God. And what people don't realize is that if you are doing wrong, it funds something bigger, because we are a collective, and people don't know that. Over the generations, we're not even told that, to the point where we are now, where the evil people, or the evil system, because I'm going to call it a bad system that people are in, they did not even realize that there was any other way. In fact, they're being shown, look, there's not many people left for us to corrupt. We're going to win this one as well. We've always been in control. This is our money. This is our partnership. This is our deals. They're done. So people just continue it. People just give in. You seem to live two different lives. Yeah, I've certainly have, but at the same time, completely. But this is the other thing. And this is where I see the duality. It's not I've lived two lives, it's the duality of life. The soul is one, mind is two, the yin and yang. What you put out has to come back. If you look at how hard I was going with drugs, what come back was how hard I was training. And the reason why I was trying to show you that journey, it was, and you'll see at some point, I'm doing 12-hour races. Like, they couldn't then corrupt me on that, so they have to distract me another way. Encourage me to go and do a race. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll go into Ireland. I climb up the highest mountain in Ireland called Devil's Ladder. Happen to be just the names as well, but I then go off and do that. So it's the pendulum. If you realize it swings both ways, that's fine. I wasn't aware of that. And if you realize it swings both ways and you bring yourself back to meditation, as it comes back, you catch it. I'm here now. I realize it could have gone that way, but I stopped that. So it's allowing you to start seeing the duality in your life. For every bad thing, or there's a good thing, and it will swing. And that's why we go through in phases. And the more you become grounded and start from the central place, you can go and do these amazing experiences in full presence. But there's no swing back anymore, because you come back to normal again. Every time you're in presence, you only can make a good decision, because every decision you make is yours. And every decision you make in presence is a God decision, because you're co-creating with God. It's simple, but I wasn't explained any of that. So the experiences that you have in life, there's no meaning or understand to start with. So you go again. And then you learn from your mistakes, and then you go again. But a lot of us get caught into something and continue that. We choose a certain action and we continue that. We're doing things for other people and we continue that. And we know that we shouldn't, or we know we're stuck, and the thing that we don't do is just address of what is it. And straight away, like, oh, there's no other way, there's no other outcome. But what we can really focus on is there is always one outcome, always. We just got to find the right way. And that right way doesn't involve just you. It's using other people, it's using the bigger picture, it's using the education, it's taking out time. And you'll find a way when you go into the meditations. You kept your body in amazing condition, even with a party here or there. Yeah. And that's the thing, Polly Collie. Again, I always said, my body, I get in shape whenever I want. My body changes. I used to eat my food, and all my food I'd call fuel. I'm just putting fuel in my body. I'll burn it off. Always. And personal training, you have to scoff your food down before you went in the next session. So it was like you were just getting fuel in. I look at some of my photos and like, I need to train harder. I want to get back like that. It's just the dedication that you have to put into life, not just a temporary thing where I'm going to get in shape for 3 months now. It's life. So everything you do it with passion, learn from it, and come back to it again when you need to. And if things do make you feel good, add it into your life. Just don't make it consume your life. I think that's the big one for me. Because again, in the fitness industry, you see the groups all the time, and you see the different phases and crazes and everything that comes into. I saw that I was there for 12 years in the 2 gyms. So we saw all sorts of things. But what you see is people then go and chase it. There was a stage where people are like, oh, I'm sober now, and I'm the sobriety girl, or I'm the sober girl. Their whole life now becomes of doing everything sober, and now I'm sober, and now I'm going to a drink, and so it's like, that's not life. You're now wearing a different character and getting upset. And what it is when people do something and it does help others, and it does, like, you're sharing your experience, then it's like we go and chase to try to add, what else can I do on there? But it's almost to continue your experience without the need to get all the others, but have that in the back as a secondary thing. What can I share? What teachings can I take? How can I use this for social media? It's like your own intentions without the desperation and the actually changing who you are. And I always pick people up when they say, I've been sober 5 years. Okay, I changed it. What have you done in 5 years? What's changed for you in 5 years? Don't tell me what you was. That's 5 years ago. You're living in the past still. Another year and you call yourself sober again. I'm 10 years sober. So you're not the sober person. Like, in that soberness and in that experience changes everything else. Right, so I'm gonna cut it off today because that's 3 hours I've done on that one of just talking about my life and the photos. But I'm hoping you can see that there's quite a lot in that part, and I'm hoping that now we'll start connecting with all areas of society. And if we then simplify it even more, if you're doing crime, if you zoom right out, that crime is doing the same system as people worshipping the devil, as Nazis, as the mafia, as murderers, as killers, as drug dealers, as rapists, as human traffickers. Even if you're not doing it, it's a whole system. It's already been from the start. So what we saw Saudi first, where Trump went, that's where it's all been funded from for years. They've been the gatekeepers to this realm. They've kept God's children as slaves. They've distracted people from God. They've lied about information. They've held back documentation. God speaks through all of us. All of us. So creation, all of it. Music, paintings, they find their way and they take over. So just know that God is within all of us. Any creation is God's creation. Any flow is God. That means you are one with God. So it's to keep yourself in flow. Yeah, I know what you mean. Thank you. And when you start learning from the creation, looking from a bird's eye view now, it all makes sense for you, because everything you see out there is a mirror. Everything, the bones in our body, the countries on the land, the 33 vertebrae on the spine is where Christ died, 33. As it rises up, it crosses over, comes into the spirit. It went from hell, hello, to halo. It's all there for us in plain sight, everything. And it will match up somewhere else. So I encourage people, you're connecting the dots, always got to come back to you. But ask your questions within it. because we get shown so much, and it's like, oh, I don't know if that makes sense, or I'm not sure if I got that. Or you get some people say, oh, I'm so confused now. I'm so confused now. Well, what are you confused about? What bit? And then ask the question to yourself for the bit that you want answered. And that's the key thing, is then you start finding your answers just by asking those questions. So the next one will be on this again, but it'll be a lot more of the spiritual journey next. And you'll start seeing all the colors that come out and all the creation that comes out of me. And just the way it all starts shifting in terms of the clients that I'm training. And again, the people that come into my life, is because they like that now. So it's like I attract it, but you also get more people that get put in front of your life. I then started training a lot of recruiters, a lot of them. I realized it wasn't recruiting for what they're recruiting for me. And I know one thing, how it all connected, all of it. And I'm like, whoa. And it even goes to my family. It even goes to my family. I'm going to save it for now, but it links back to Robert Maxwell. And I'm like, out of all the people in the world, someone in my family, or it's my sister's dad. And I'm like, yeah, it's completely thrown me a bit. But I feel that there's a lot of people hiding in, since World War II. I feel that the Nazis, again, it's a label, but I feel the Nazis just hid in society. It was a reset completely, but this time we're not coming back with our colors and our uniform, or we're not coming back with anything. We're just going to blend in. And that was happened in all sorts of countries. So it's still a system. So the war is continuing. So the reason why I just shared that bit to finish, because I think it's a nice part to start on. A lot of us, when we're born into a system, imagine if you're told a secret with your dad and say, look, this is what really happened. We're at a point now where no one's ever going to know, but we're now in a position where we're always going to be okay. We've got our stuff going on. We're looked after. This is our operations here. Look, this is our area. And again, I go back to my area, the way that the schools were set up. And then when I went into London, it was just different for them. And there was two people that come. It was almost like you're a marked person just based on who you are, because everyone knows you in the system. Your information's out there. So it's been quite interesting to know that there's always been someone matched to you. It was almost like everyone's corrupted apart from just a few people. So we're all in it now to work and screw each other over. Like, you don't know. It's just if you step into a system, and the higher up you go, the more people are involved. I remember I went to Brazil for Christmas, and I had to come back for 4 months because I was closing down my other gym to then go back out there again. And even in the whole thing was set up, the whole thing with the different people. And it sounds like I've been overthinking a lot of things. These thoughts have been popping up. It's hard to explain in just one story. I'm just hoping there'll be one gem where you're going to see it all connects. The same people, the same organizations, the way that I was introduced. It's almost like it's all been mapped out for us. Some people take it to the extreme. Yeah, they do. And do you know why they take it to extreme? Because they found something they're good at. They found something they were recognized at. They found something they were appreciated on. They found something that made them them. It was the unique thing. Like, we all look for that thing. And I realized that thing is just you being unique. That is the thing. We are all unique. There's only one of us. And it's okay to do things that go against the norm, but it's to own it. It's really interesting when you start viewing it all like this, because then it only can be experienced rather than individual things. If you put it all together, it just adds to you. So I'm even diving into the spiritual world of when people are channeling and they got someone speaking through them. For me, that's a myth. You channel as you. If the words are coming out, it's as you. The reason why people don't, because it's not fluent, it's not in flow. So they put another character on, and then they can benefit off it. It's a lot easier to say, oh, it's coming. The words come out of you. If you own it, if you're speaking them, that's you. God is within you. God's playing different roles within you. It's deception. Like, I'm going to do a breakdown on one person. He's called Bashir or Bashar. If you just come across him, his words. That's all you need to listen to. The way that he explains things is always in the past. If it's light, being spoken through you, it'd only be love. Light is love. It'd only be love. It can't be anything else. So even that side of things, when you hear the sarcasm and stuff, wouldn't come through it. One of the women that I told you about, the psychedelics, and the woman gave me all the books. She was one of the trustees on the London College of Psychic Studies in London, Hogwarts. And remember, they had different psychics there. If they know everything about you and they know who's booked on the list, all they need to do is get a few people in the crowd, make it look like that they've got it right, and then you're like, you then brought in again distraction, taking someone else's word to give you your, like, we take other people's words and expertise to give us more confirmation, more clarity, maybe a different perspective, but not as a truth. We live our life seeking what other people say about us, and we take that and hold on to what that comes our way. I'm concerned about living in Arizona with the corruption. We have to be connected with cartels. I mean, but you're not paying attention if you say that, Polly, because it's all of it's changed. All of it's changing. This is the final part. The one thing people need to do first of all to see corruption is corruption. Regardless what label it is, it's all the same snake. It's all the same system. And people knowingly doing something, then you'll start seeing that the punishments are coming. Then there's other people that are doing something that they've always done, and that's just all they've done. But they don't realize what it really accounts to, Nazis, devil, all that sort of stuff. They'll find out. They'll get their reality check. Is stealing from other people. So yeah, it's the corrupt state. You've been, again, that's why I love God on that one. Is that if you realize, you'll see how corrupt it actually is, and the people and the realtors, and it's the worst, I'd say. And you manage only just to become aware of it recently. And obviously corruption is everywhere, but that's amazing if you see some of the things that these people have been involved with, some of the worst crimes ever, and they all know. That's all being changed. So there's nothing to be concerned of. The only concern is the feelings coming from your body, which means you're in your mind. If you start meditating a lot more, all there is love. You start looking and connecting all of it and start seeing all these things unfolding now. All it's doing is just exposing every part of the system, every part of it. It's not continuing. So enjoy the show, be present, keep working on yourself, and keep learning at this time, because it will change for all of us. And I promise you that everyone in this truth movement that has gone on their own journey, you're so far advanced in terms of your development to anyone else. So far. On another plane, I was texting someone today. I knew instantly they were lying. Just even the way that they replied today, I knew they were lying. It was like, it was obvious now. So you'll be so much more fine-tuned to certain things, but you'll only know when the moments happen and you look back at it. So yeah, all I would say is just like not even count your blessings. It's just know that, like, all these things, you've been protected, you've been looked after. And then the state is an amazing place. Like, there's so much beauty there as well. So you take all that out, there's not a lot of people there. There's more people in London than there is in Arizona. Then there's going to be a lot of land waiting for a lot of people. So yeah, I'd say it's a great place to be. And there's a lot of magic there as well. With I guarantee you'll see some new land unfold there, especially in the Grand Canyon part. So people, anyway, I've waffled on a bit more. Thank you for watching today. And if you're watching the recording as well, please do leave your comment. Please let us know how you found it. And if anything of the topics that I did discuss today, you want me to do a talk on any of them, do let me know. And I'll announce it tomorrow on the 1st. So the 1st is the 1st of the 11th tomorrow, so 111. And yeah, I'll be on a lot more over the next few days on YouTube, and I'll be a bit more focused on the next talk. Now I've gone through this part as well. Nearly lost my daughter during COVID as she is so asleep. Once I let it all go and just gave our relationship back. Love that, Jenny. And again, it's the spirals. Whilst you say you nearly lost her, you found yourself, or you found more to yourself. So then she can just come onto that wave as it spirals back round again. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great